fate is before you. Choose wisely.
Time to run it all. I wake up. Yeah. I wake up, flex, thumb down now. Check, no drip this. Wet. Tell 'em run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell 'em run it up. I wake up, flex, thumb down now. Check, no drip this. Wet. Tell 'em run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell 'em run it up. 9 out of 10 roll through my hands, I'm by my lonely. Turned to a savage, now my baby wants to hold me. I love my fans, don't need no friends, I got my homies. That's on me, ayy. All chained up, he on lockdown. He find God now. On my way up. The highs with the lows. That's like these days. Bro chained up, he on lockdown. Phone call 3 ways. I just pray that he find God now. It's no replay. On my way up to the top now. That's on me, ayy. The highs with the lows. That's like these days. Bro chained up, he on lockdown. Phone call 3 ways. I just pray that he find God now. It's no replay. On my way up to the top now. That's on me, ayy. Any day could've been it. High school price on my head. Paranoid lying in my bed. Pray to God they don't turn my shirt cherry. I was lost, didn't know me. Introduced myself to codeine. 6 months was a dope fiend. Philly didn't even know things. There was a low me. Swear to God it would've owed me. Everything you ever told me. Everything you ever showed me. I forgot it. Caused me drama. I used to stay on one. Now I changed on them. The highs with the lows. That's life these days. Bro chained up, he on lockdown. Phone call 3 ways. I just pray that he find God now. It's no replay. On my way up to the top now. That's on me, ayy. Get the highs with the lows. That's like these days. Bro chained up, he on lockdown. Phone call 3 ways. I just pray that he find God now. It's no replay. On my way up to the top now. That's on me, ayy. I just saw Jizzy got a plane. Guess that's what he meant when he said nothing was the same. Lately I've been grounded, energizing off the pain. Some things gon' change, I'm just soaking up the game. Through the mud, out the rain like I remember all those same nights. Now I'm on top, no stage fright. Now I'm on go, no brake lights. Hit the pedal, hit the engine roar. No fear like a matador. Breaking trends and I'm making more. Going up, climbing ladders more. I can't be stopped. Now I do what I want. Real, no front. All the way to the top. Highs with the lows. That's like these days. Bro chained up, he on lockdown. Phone call 3 ways. I just pray that he find God now. It's no replay. On my way up to the top now. That's on me, ayy. The highs with the lows. That's like these days. Bro chained up, he on lockdown. Phone call 3 ways. I just pray that he find God now. It's no replay. On my way up to the top now. That's on me, ayy. Keep God first. I see evil when I converse. Not today, say. This how God works. Play my position, what is given with no concerns. Go. Set it out. Top of the morning, I'm gonna set it out. You living boring, I'm gonna set it out. Shooting, I'm scoring, I'm gonna set it out. Like soldiers torn, I'm gonna set it out. Son of God, no, I am not son of man. Blessings keep falling, the fingers keep coming in. I got you, but just know I'm texting like Uncle Sam. Left to the bank, you know that I'm coming in. We don't do it for the bands though, we don't do it for the clout. Legacy on the line, so I'm moving in and out. Seen good ones turn top dog, greedy ones get knocked off. I keep looking at the bench like I could never not ball. Coach keep me in the game, Curry deadly with the range. I keep looking in the mirror like, who is he? I'm insane. Who am I? He insane. Guess I ain't the one to blame. What's done is done, won't change. Time to live up to my name. Real will be real, fake gon' fall. Took time with this here, I'm made for a while. No sleeping while I won't fall. No sleeping while I won't lead out. I keep God first. I see evil, I evil when I converse. Not today, say. This how God works. Play my position, what is given with no concerns. Go, 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 go. Set it out. Top of the morning, I'm gonna set it out. You living boring, I'm gonna set it out. Shoot when I'm scoring, I'm gonna set it out. Like soldiers torn, I'm gonna set it out. Told my baby, meet me at the bank. Told my mama, I'ma break the trend. Locked in, I'ma change the weight. Working for my baby's kids. Hard times couldn't make the rent. Working hard couldn't save a cent. Lonely nights, just me and God. Swear to him, always made the ends. Grab a paper, see the news. Hate coming by the tools. Walk a mile in my shoes. Something you could never do. Got my back against the wall. Bet I always pull through. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Sending shots, I block 'em. Superman with the moves. Rock 'em, talk 'em, drop pop 'em. Play to win, never lose. Run it up, I top 'em. Play full belly too. I hip hop or pop 'em. Anything I could do. The real will be real, fake gon' fall. Took time with this here, I made for a while. No sleeping while I won't fall. No sleeping while I won't lead off. I keep God first. I see evil, I evil when I converse. Not today, say. This how God works. Play my position, what is given with no concerns. Go, 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 go. Set it out. Top of the morning, I'm gonna set it out. You living boring, I'm gonna set it out. Shooting, I'm scoring, I'm gonna set it out. Like soldiers torn, I'm gonna set it out. Drop, you can't ignore it. I'm transforming now these cars and planes, I'm always boarding. Just out touring down in Charlotte like I play for Hornets. When I'm performing, never boring, now you can't afford it. Champagne Perrier, Finnish friends on my face. Looking like I'm from the D. D's no Cartiers. Pockets deep, 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 bro. I can make it in my seat, bro. Do you, I'm doing me, bro. Making noise, use a beat, bro. Whoa. I press the button and the doors go off like, whoa. Neighborhood be the name. Neighborhood no crib. Neighborhood that's me. Neighborhood that's Nick. Neighborhood do the dance. Neighborhood do the deal. Okay, thought I'd never make it like no way. I'm the real deal, no role play. My days off, that's no days. No, I hustle hard, young rose. E be the shooter, that's cold case. Those on the deals, that's brose. Got no pay, on no say. Okay, this the news, tell them read it. Been the one since the fetus. Don't sleep on me, Tempur-Pedic. That's a no, no, no. Spending dope for no reason. Got a ball head, Mr. Cleaner. Heard the big bags overseas, then we gon' go, go, go. Whoa, I press the button and the doors go off like, whoa. That money clip us now, the new now looks like, whoa. Upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like, whoa, 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 whoa. I press the button and the doors go off like, whoa. That money clip us now, the new now looks like, whoa. Upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like, whoa, 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 whoa. no fixer. I'm gon' ball, no picker. Yeah, I ate those they live for. Talking on my back, go figure. Whole team eats from splitter. Never was the one to go flicker. No face, no case, no picture. For place, big stakes, my dinner. Flip that, Canal Street, flip back. Last week, old money. This week, new racks. Never buy 9 more. If I can't afford to gift wrap, stunning in your foreign car. You keep riding rental tax. Ew. Heard you roll the other lean, we are not the same. Couple thousand in my pocket, that's pocket shit. Rubber bands on my arm, this is not for play. I put 20 on the crib while you cop a chain. I know they hated or love it. You know I love when they hate it. Last year was living basic. Haters on the other side. 3 up, read between the lines. Know I got some majors with me. Made it through some evil times. Late night on some demon time. Pour the Sprite, I need love. I can't lock your sweet love. Free time. Brainstorm, you can assume with your chains on. I can see none with the lights off. Cap, you been the main one. Coolin' when I got my mains on. Show money.
I told you guys that it always gets better with later. In the past, there was an iconic rap singer by the name of Mike Jones. And the catchphrase of Mike Jones was, "Back then she didn't want me, now hot chicks, they all on me." And the purpose of this show, guys, is to teach young men that purpose always supersedes the prospect of women that are currently in your life. Many times young men have been impacted mentally by how some women did them back in their formative years, whether it be high school, college, or even middle school. And because of that impact, some of you men have developed what's called a schema affliction. That schema affliction has caused many men to have what's called a scarcity mindset as it relates to women. And what it's done is made you think you're not worth anything, therefore you defer your power by dealing with unsavory women that are not equipped to help you meet your mission while you're here on earth. I believe firmly and vehemently that women were made to help her man to see his vision in earth. And when a man helps his woman make the proper outcomes as it relates to change, that woman will turn back around and support him. I did a show in the past called Women and Men Were Optimized to Be Synchronized. When men and women are optimized in synchronicity, they have what's called soul fusion. But it appears that in many times in modern cultures, most modern women are not designed to be synchronized with their men because they have been conditioned with liberal indoctrination and liberal ideology. We're going to explore the Mike Jones connotation as it relates to male empowerment. And I need you guys to remember this. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. There are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become an optimized male, and understand that female psychology is paramount to the functioning of the mind of a male, his soul, body, and spirit. Be well and enjoy this show. If you have not subscribed, subscribe to the channel, hit all notification buttons, and share the content. Be well. All right, guys, we're about to get right into it. This is the time for empowerment. And I'm not the Reverend Knight. I'm the coach clinician. Get your pens and paper ready. We're going to have a fiery show on today. Get ready. Bringing it to you live once again from the greatest state in the Union, the Tar Heel State, where the topography is serene, pristine, and verdant green, where every day is Father's Day, and where manhood is part of hills and valleys, victories and failures, and whereas men, we don't agree on all things or ideologies, But tonight, we come together as allies of a common cause only to dissipate once the crisis is over. Now listen, I'm about to drop some fire for your mind. But before I drop that fire, let's explore why we are doing the Manhood Chronicles. All right, guys, we're about to get right into it. And we're going to more or less reverberate what Mike Jones said. Mike Jones said that back then she didn't want me. Now hot chicks, they all on me. Now listen, guys, we're about to encroach the 2022 new year. Many of you men are tired of modern women, modern dating, and modern relationships. And I'm doing these shows because I believe in the power of male empowerment. When men are empowered, they make good decisions and they do not relegate themselves to subpar behavior. Watch this. But because many of you guys have been impacted in the past and you need to have your schema remodified, you continue to more or less take and deal with what's called disrespectful behavior. Now listen, we're going to have a good show, but to the ones that I know that often don't cam up, I might let you slide because I know you. But moving forward to new people that are trying to come up and cam up, I need to see your face. I understand for anonymity reasons and jobs, some people don't cam up, but new people that I don't know, you got to cam up. And then also some to the old people that I know at some point, you guys need to cam up as well because I'm being very transparent with who I am and I need to see you because when I see you, I can read your body language. So I get it. Some people do things because of anonymity. But at the same time, I need some of you guys that are old and new to cam up periodically, especially the new guys. But let's get back to the point. Men are impacted mentally due to rejection. Some of you men that are listening are still dealing with the pain from the past. You are still dealing with that girl that rejected you in high school to the point you tolerate BS because you have a scarcity mindset. You tolerate BS because you don't think you deserve better. The earth is a big and a very expansive place. It's literally 8 billion people in this world. There are women from other cultures that love, respect, and honor men. But because you guys never saw masculine authority, you never saw masculine power, you continue to defer your power instead of demanding power. We talked about in the past how that schema that you're dealing with, which is a fixated way of thinking, has caused you to make things or to do things not based on logic, but to do things based on how you feel or your emotions. And because of that, guys, you guys continue to suffer in silence because of those negative traits and those negative learning outcomes. Shout out to my man, James Best, for the $20 super sticker. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Can you guys hear it? If you guys can hear that that ringtone, let me know. I've been having issues with my mixing board. If you guys heard that, hit one. But shout out to my man, James Best, for the $20 super sticker. Thank you, brother. Much love and blessings, James Best. If you guys can hear that, hit one. I don't know if you guys can hear that that sound, the sound mixing board, but if you guys can hear it, let me know by hitting one because I'm going to make sure. Okay, great. So everybody can hear it. Sometime I can hear it and sometime I can't. So as long as you guys can hear it, that's all that matters. But let's get back to the point because we're about to encroach the new year and I want to see you men in power. But what I need you guys to do as we continue to grow this channel, as we continue to get to 3,000, share this content with as many men as possible. To the 15 people that are watching, share the content. If you share the content, then you can empower another man. Don't take this knowledge and just keep it to yourself because as I grow this platform, some of these Jews are going to be on Patreon only. But until I do that, I'm going to give it to you guys free because I want to see you guys empowered. I love seeing men have a smile on their face when they are happy and when they're at rest. But as a licensed therapist, I know based on what William Glasser said. William Glasser said, based on his psychoanalytic points of views, that needs drive behaviors, which leads to choices that can be good or bad. And some of you guys have begun to make negative and bad choices because of your past and because of your negative imprint. Let's go back to high school. Some of you guys are millennials. Some of you guys are zennials. And I'm a Gen Xer. But let's go back to high school when you weren't fully developed as a man. Let's go back to high school when your voice was not as deep as it is now. Let's go back to high school when the girl that you loved and liked, she rejected you because she thought that you didn't have the necessary requirements to be in her life. And see, guys, what we've been conditioned to do is this. We've been conditioned to see her as the prize instead of seeing yourself as the prize catcher. I did a show in the past talking about Return of the Prize Catcher. And the prize catcher, guys, more or less determines what he wants in a relationship, but also the prize catcher determines what he wants in a woman. I need you guys to understand this, that you are the prize catcher. And that when you allow her to place herself above you without demanding anything in return, you give your power away because you see yourself as less than. But let's go back in time once again. Some of you guys remember the time when you dealt with women that were in high school. You saw yourself as less than. And because you guys saw yourself as less than, you are continuing a negative pattern of behaviors that continue to impact you in a negative way. You come into the relationship not demanding anything because that woman, she more or less kicked you to the curb and said, you know, you don't have a nice car. Some of you guys grew up in the inner city. You grew up in poverty. You grew up not having a father in your life. And you saw yourself as less than. So in order to get the attention and the validation from a woman, what many of you men did is that you guys overcompensated. Overcompensation is really is an unhealthy ego defense mechanism where you more or less give more or you exert more due to a low self-esteem. And because some of you guys have a very low self-esteem, you continue to tolerate more than you're more or less getting back in return. That negative schema from high school, guys, is causing many of you to once again choose women that don't benefit you in a positive way. How many of you guys can remember a time when you were in high school and you got curved to the side only to see that woman 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, and she's nowhere near as fine as she was back then? And this is what the woman always says, guys, when she see you later. I liked it that you, back in high school, they always say, I liked it that you, not like, but I liked it that you, and I always thought you were handsome. But they say that after 100 pounds, kids by multiple men, and after she's given her best years to men that are unsavory and men that are not worthy to be in her life. But back to point what Mike Jones said, because guys, this is the time of male empowerment. And 2022 is going to be a very vibrant year for the men that are focused and to the men that are putting purpose over prospects. We're going to talk about that because the title of the show is to put purpose over prospects. Watch this. Because the prospects, guys, will always be around. But your purpose will never always be around. You got a limited time here on this planet called Earth. And when you're walking in your purpose instead of walking in chasing women, then once you reach that pinnacle of your success, you'll know what your worth is. But watch this, because you guys have a negative schema, some of you guys need what's called cognitive restructuring. You need to have that schema remodified. But because you can be in your purpose and have plenty of money, you can be in your purpose and have a lot of power, you can be in your purpose, but you still can be an unconscious simp. And as Bishop Charles E. Williams said, y'all ain't gonna talk to me. I'm doing these shows, guys, especially to the Zennials and the Millennials, because I didn't have this kind of information as a young man growing up. Most Gen X men, we didn't have this information. We didn't have a space where men can come together and collaborate through what's called the universality of brotherhood, where we share our stories, where we share our pain. That's why I started the Manhood Chronicles. Because the Manhood Chronicles is synonymous to group therapy. The Manhood Chronicles is synonymous to what's called the universality of brotherhood. And I do these shows because I want to empower you so that you can know what your worth is and you don't settle for mediocrity in relationships. But there's an old saying that art always imitates life. And Mike Jones is the art icon that imitates the life of time. To some, Mike Jones is an iconoclast to the unsavory women, because what Mike Jones was saying, he was giving you free game. And basically what Mike Jones was saying is that she don't really love you for who you are as a man. She only loves you for what you can bring to the table as it relates to resources and as it relates to security. But how many of you guys that are listening, especially you millennials and zennials, have been impacted by negative women from your past in the high school, and it's caused you to get in relationships that you regret because you are still dealing with a low self-esteem? If it's true, I need everybody that's listening, the brothers that are listening, to hit one. If you've been impacted by a negative schema because of what happened to you in high school and because of what happened to you in relationships. Because you're not going to get the right outcomes until you begin to see yourself in a more positive image. There's a such thing called ego syntonic, and there's a such thing called ego dystonic. People that are delusional have what's called a syntonic ego. A person can be a cat, but if that cat see himself as a lion, then that person have what's called a syntonic ego. Because that syntonic ego thinks that's the way they're supposed to feel. But if a person see themselves as less than based on what somebody said, but they realize that they can offer more in life, then that's a dystonic ego. And some of you guys have a very dystonic ego because you have been impacted by negative relationships. But I want to continue to get to the point, guys, because we're going to have a good show on today. Negative schemas are paramount to how you see yourself as a man. Some of you guys tolerate all kinds of bad behavior because you have not learned to see yourself as better than. When you go back in time, back in college, you remember the high school guys, the college guys, the jocks that had the nice cars, the alphas, the kappas, the guys in the sororities, the football players, the swag guys. You were just an average guy. But many of those women looked past you, not because there was anything wrong with you, not because you didn't have any inherent worth or value, but she looked past you because her nature is hypergamous. Watch this. All hypergamy is not bad. Women should be hypergamy as long as if it's kosher hypergamy. Kosher hypergamy is fit and proper. It's not a bad thing, meaning she wants provision, she wants protection, and she wants a man to value her and to give her the outcomes that she needs. But many times, guys, you settle for mediocrity because you have not seen yourself as better. And I told you guys that it gets better later as you get older as a man. But some of you guys are still dealing with the pain from high school. You're still dealing with the pain of rejection. You're still dealing with thinking that you're not any good or that you're not better. And Kevin Samuels talked about average is best as it relates to some modern women. But some of you guys have devalued yourself to the point that you think because you're average that you don't deserve anything of worth. Shout out to my man Ingram Experience for the $50 super chat. No doubt, love you, brother Ingram. I want you to pop up at some point. The Ingram Experience is salute. This is pure male empowerment, no doubt. Love it, brother, no doubt. I love it too. And to the 25 that are listening, watching, share this content. Let's have 100 people on this stream. Because I'm trying to grow this channel as I empower our men. But not only black men, but all men. This is not just a black male issue. This is an American male issue. Many men, including men of all ethnic groups, are dealing with a low self-worth and a low self-esteem. But because black men have been the muse of society, because black men have dealt with it more in a more precarious predicament and precarious nature, we continue to deem ourselves as less than. And there's been a saying, guys, that black men have very low standards as it relates to relationships. And I'm beginning to wonder and think that it might be true, because Ingram remember a time, just like I remember a time, when men had standards. Chicks that were 600 pounds couldn't come into your life saying what she deserved because she was invisible. Chicks that had 5 kids by 5 different men couldn't come into your life talking about what she deserved because she was invisible. And I told you guys that you are the prize catcher. You determine if she's prize worthy. I've said in the past, she can be a prize in her head, do a process called magnification. But until she gets the ring, you are the prize catcher. You determine if she is prize worthy. But once again, college has held some of you guys renderless. College has made some of you guys think that you are less than. And because of that, many of you guys have continued to suffer in silence because of how you felt about yourself in the past. That negative schema that some of you guys have dealt with has also come from your mothers. Some of your mothers projected the pain of dealing with dusty men that was your father. And sometimes those men weren't bad men, but that mother projected her pain onto you. And that mother made you think that you couldn't get anything better because she said, you just like your worthless daddy. And because some of you guys have thought that you were just like your worthless daddy, you have a very low self-worth or a very low self-esteem. Therefore, as I said earlier, you accept anything. You accept emasculation. You accept disrespect. You accept her being 500 pounds. You accept anything because you feel like that's all that you can get. That's why so many men say that marriage is only for poor men, because poor men need somebody to help them pay bills. But men that have money and men that have resources and men that have what's called good mental health, because as I said earlier, you can have money and you still can be a simp unconsciously. Those men have very high self-esteem and they demand what they want in a relationship. And as I told you guys earlier, it's time for men to deal with the pain of their past, but also it's time for men to remodify that negative schema that they've dealt with in order to get better outcomes as they move forward as men. I told you guys that manhood is a series of hills and valleys, victories and failures. And I said it again in the past, whereas men, we may not agree on all things or ideologies, but we come together now as allies of a common cause only to dissipate once the crisis is over. And there's a crisis in heteronormative masculinity. That crisis has caused many men not to be more or less on their purpose and on their mission. They have not more or less been invigorated or more or less energized as men. They begin to see themselves as less than, and because of that, they're in bad relationships. The pain of manhood is hard. The pain of manhood many times is uncertain. We were born males, but we become men. Manhood is a journey. It's not a destination. You're not destined to be a man. It's a journey to what's called a rite of passage. And sometimes that rite of passage can be very painful. It can be painful because you don't have what's called a council of elders to help you circumnavigate that negative maze called life. And when you're raised in a very gynocentric culture, many times it does not teach you to more or less respect yourself, but it teaches you to serve her. And it's not a bad thing on the indictment upon the woman, because that's just a female's nature. Her nature is insular, meaning she's made inward. That's why she has a vagina. And women are made to receive. That's why women need compliments. That's why they need attention. That's why they need the fleeting emotion called love. And that's why you should never get married based on love alone. You should get married based on principle. Because when a woman can love you outside of how she feel, that woman really loves you because she respects you more than she respects her feelings. And as Bishop Charles E. Williams said, y'all ain't gonna talk to me. But I want to give you some fire for your mind on today, because we're going to ask ourselves the question, who is Mike Jones and what can we learn from Mike Jones? Mike Jones is a famous artist and a famous rapper that made a very powerful song back in 2009 called Back Then She Didn't Want Me, Now Hot Chicks, They All On Me. And you guys can learn from Mike Jones because Mike Jones is giving you the blueprint to how many modern women think. And I said modern because it's very rare that you'll find in this culture traditional women that more or less are wife ready and willing to serve. Because so many of those women have been more or less indoctrinated by liberal schools. They've been indoctrinated by liberal ideologies. They have told you, black men, that you have oppressed them, when many times the oppression that they are talking about, black men never had the power to oppress our women at a macro level. We never had the power. But they took on the rally cry with many white women, and they said that black men oppressed them. But black men never had power to oppress, because black men and black women were mules of the same oppression of Jim Crow racism in the South. We were all mules together. Black men were broken through pain and adversity. Black men were raped. Black men were pillaged, and they had their minds destroyed. And some of you guys still have a very despondent mindset because you remember the time, and your granddad remember a time where they called you boy. Boy is a way to make you feel like that you are less than. Some of you have heard your moms call you boy, and she didn't say it verbally, she said it in an indirect way. So some of you guys have a very negative schema because you see yourself as less than. From middle school to high school to college, your development has been arrested. And because of that arrested development, you can be chronologically a grown man, but from a psychosocial stage of development, you can still be back in the past. And that's why some of you guys are making so many bad choices in relationships, because you don't see yourself as better than, you see yourself as less than. And because you see yourself as less than, it's causing you to make bad choices. As I said before in the past, cultural hypergamy is fit and proper. It's in a woman's nature just to want a man to provide for her, to love her, to protect her, and to encompass her with resources. Even women that got money want a man that has resources. Most women want a man that she can look up to. If she's not a spiritual woman, if she make more than that man, she's not going to feel safe and secure. It's really contraindicated and it's weird, but that's how female psychology works. And to the average guys that are actually good men, you feel like it's never enough. So I'm going to challenge you on today by doing this. Don't worry about it. Leave those type of women alone. Because you are more than how much money you make. Your masculinity is not tied into your bank account. Is provision part of masculinity? Yes. But your masculinity is not always the essence of how much money that you make. No different than you saying that if she doesn't have corpulent breasts and wide hips and she can't make a baby, then she's not, quote unquote, a real woman. But watch this. Many always tell you what a real man is. But when you turn the tables and tell her what a real woman is, then she say that, well, you know, who hates you? Your mama's black. And guys, that's tied to thinking errors on the behalf of many of our men and many of our women. Black men have thinking errors of minimization. Some of our black women, not all, shout out to the good sisters, the great women that are listening, but some of our women have thinking errors based on the presupposition of magnification because she thinks she's better than you. And some of you guys have begun to internalize that negative pathology to the point that you don't have any standards. And I told you guys that power never succeeded to anything without a struggle It never have, and it never will. So the question to you guys as you begin to go into 2022, what are you deferring as it relates to relationships? Have you had your schema remodified? Have you gone through the proper cognitive restructuring to change how you think about yourself? Have your automatic thoughts been recalibrated? Because until you do the shallow work to help you deal with those negative pathologies that are impacting you as a man, you can make six figures, you can make a $500,000, you can make $1 million a year. But inside of you, your development is arrested because you still are a little boy mentally. You're still locked in a psychosocial stage of development, like intimacy versus isolation, or inferiority versus in industry. Those were psychosocial stages that Erickson talked about as it relates to human socialization and human psychology. So until you do the shallow work, until you do the therapy to remodify those negative thoughts, you are still locked in the pages of your past. That's why sometimes you hear some women say that you are bitter. And watch this, it's okay to be bitter. Because when they say you are bitter who hurt you, it's really just a form of shaming language. It's okay to be bitter. It's okay to say I've been hurt. It's okay to say I'm going through pain. Because people that learn how to go through what's called a catharsis, they're able to heal in the long run. But you can't heal and become the better version of yourself if you're still locked up in the pain of your past. That's why you got to uncover so that you can recover. I'm going to say it again. You got to uncover, that's called peeling back the onion, so that you can recover. When you uncover so that you can recover, you become discovered as it relates to being the best version of yourself. And you become the best version of yourself when you learn to put your purpose over prospects. When you put your purpose over prospects, you realize that you become the icon. You realize that you become the mantle of power. You realize that you become the prize catcher. Because when you deal with women from other countries, they have been conditioned to serve, honor, and respect you as a man. You're not walking around dragging your knuckles on the ground, feeling like you're less than because you don't feel like that you deserve anything better. And watch this. We all have been through it, guys. I've been through it as a man, but I've always been very masculine. Don't get it twisted. But we all have been psychologically impacted by the things of our past as it relates to relationships, because the imprint that most men go through that sometimes can paralyze them is the kryptonite of rejection as it comes from a woman. Because the epigenesis to the function of a man normally is tied to nurturing. He remembered that nurturing that he got from his mom when she spoke life into him. Because the mom and women many times are cheerleaders. My man Aguapo called it a feminine amplifier. And just like a woman can amplify you to greatness, she also can derail you, and she can more or less tear you down based on her verbal abuse. I call a woman that's positive and kind a female oscillator. She oscillates her femininity just like a perfume in your face. It's like a fan. She showers you with her femininity. And it's very powerful when you get it and when it's genuine. We're not talking about fake femininity. We're not talking about women that fake and fawn femininity just to get a man's resources and just to get a relationship. And then once you say, I do, she pulled the mask off. She let herself go. And then she show you who she really is. But we're talking about women that are very honest, good, noteworthy, kind, noble, and honorable women. But most modern women, guys, practice a condition called carnal hypergamy. In the Greek, carnal comes from the word carne, which means meat. The Apostle Paul called carnal as it relates to the works of the flesh. The flesh does not have discipline. The flesh only thinks about itself. The flesh is not centered around helping a person become the best version of themselves, but the flesh is only centered around the immediate, something that's called instant gratification. But kosher hypergamy is not based on instant gratification. Kosher hypergamy is based on discipline. is based on purpose. And men, you need a woman that's going to help you get on your purpose. Not a woman that's going to come see you at the finish line. You don't want a woman to be in your life after you bust your ass for 20 years, after you work hard to build your brand only to lose it in the divorce court with no fault divorce. Therefore, you will be a fool to not demand anything from a woman in a relationship. Because guess what? She's going to demand something from you. But we live in a time now where the chickens have finally come home to roost. The chickens have come home to roost because, like Teddy Pendergrass said, the whole world is laughing at me. Silly fool. And some of our women are beginning to see the world for what it really is now. They're beginning to see that many men are very apathetic when it comes down to relationships. Shout out to my man J.S. Huggins. That's my expat. That's my brother. We traveled to Brazil this year. Actually, we've been there twice. Much love and blessing to my man J.S. Huggins. And guys, I haven't read some of these comments yet, but I will read them because I'm trying to give you guys this fire for your mind, because I want to see you guys
fire for your mind. The kosher.
I want to see you guys invigorated. I don't want you guys to go to the grave with dreams undeferred or deferred. Because Langston Hughes said, what happens when dreams come deferred? Some of you guys right now are still waiting on hope. And you remember the first time you fell in love with a girl. You remember the first time you gave her a hug and a kiss. Because you guys were infused by that dopamine rush called love. The gospel say that hope brings forth patience, or patience brings forth hope. Faith brings forth patience. Patience brings forth hope. And that hope that you guys have is that you can still get the same kind of feeling that you got 20 years ago. But sadly, the world today is not the same as the world of the past. And that dopamine rush that you got from the past, you're realizing that, can you invest yourself with most modern women? And I would say that the answer is no. Are there some uncovered gems out here that are good women? Yes, there are some good women that are listening to this show right now. But I would say, sadly, by and large, many times it's hard to find traditional women that are in it from the long haul. Not women that want a freeway ticket or a pass ticket just to get anything. And I've said in the past, guys, that women universally are the same. But the difference in women from other countries, they've been socialized to serve you better. They've been socialized to honor you better. They've been socialized to love you more. They're not fighting you for power in the relationship. I'm going to play this clip by Kevin Samuels, because Kevin Samuels was right. Some will argue, do most modern women love you for you? And I would say, by and large, that many times I would say no. Are there some women that love you and can look past what you got? If the chemistry is right, yes. But I would say, by and large, I don't think that many just love you for who you are. Because women are very pragmatic when it comes down to marriage and dating. Men tend to do things based on love. This faulty notion called love, and you should never get married based on love. But I'm going to play this clip because what Kay Samuels said made a lot of sense. I want you guys to listen.
That just like in the white community, when male unemployment falls, black male full employment rise. And guess what happened? Black female welfare enrollment continued to rise as black men were getting more employed. It was supposed to be it's an inversely proportional relationship. So they went and said, what is going on here? Patrick Moynihan in his Moynihan Report Commission said, here's the problem. There's a cultural problem at work here in the black community. And in order to fix the problem with black America, we cannot do it with employment. We cannot do it with education. We cannot do it with this or that. We must bolster the black family. Keep a black family, mother, father in the household. Have programs to that, and not have programs to that benefit, and then give them act and give them opportunities to rise or fall like every other group. And that's what they did. That's what they did. They gave black. So what you're saying that black men in the house, that has been overreported. The problem is when given a choice, black women chose meager government benefits projects over a fully employed black man. So what we try to tell people is, well, the black men were out of the house because of the government. They corrected that in under 3 years. Claudine, that was corrected in under 3 years. So why, when black men were getting work, why were black women still choosing to get government cheese, Section 8, and living in the projects? Because black women, more than any other group of women, prize their independence. And given a taste of power and being in charge of the family, whether it was through however you want to break down chattel slavery or women being put on top of men. After slavery, we were doing just fine.
Yeah, I agree.
But what happened was the civil rights movement. We were doing just fine. But in the civil rights movement, guess what? White feminists and liberals came over and said, white black women, all those games and back of the bus and all that kind of stuff, come join with us.
Right.
You're oppressed. And black women who had never been oppressed by their men, like white women have been oppressed by their men, decided to leave the side of their men. They chose, Shirley Chisholm and those folks chose to go side with liberals and white women and take meager benefits.
Many chose bad behavior. Shout out to my man, the Narc Perspective. I call him the Little Hobbit. But shout out Narc Perspective for the $20 super chat. Much love and blessings, young man. I appreciate it, man. I look forward to continuing to work with you in the future. I love you, young brother. But I got goals and I got plans and dreams for you starting in 2020. But I showed you guys that to let you guys see that most modern women, I'm not talking about traditional women. If you're a traditional woman, this not apply to you. But I'm talking about most modern women. Most modern women don't see you as a human being. They see you as just a human doing. They see you as an ATM machine. They see you as somebody that don't have any feelings. That's why I told you guys, you got to start demanding more in relationships. Because when you are a prize catcher, you are the CEO of that relationship. It's no partnership. She's not your partner. She's your wife. Now, does she help you get the best outcomes that you want? Yes. But what Kevin Samuels is talking about is that so many wanted power in relationships. They didn't want cooperation. They wanted to have the same authority and power as the men. And you can't have two captains of a ship. You can't have it. It got to be a leader and it got to be a follower. And you need a woman that can be your cheerleader, a cheerleader that's not fighting you for power in the relationship. You need a cheerleader that has your best interests. Does it mean that you can't delegate power to your woman and let her take over certain things that you think she does a great job at? Yes, you can give her the responsibility. Say, babe, I'm going to let you handle this because you do a better job than me. There's nothing wrong with that. You can't be so much in your ego that you can't give your woman certain power. But the problem, guys, in many relationships today is that so many women want to run a relationship. They want to tell you how you are supposed to be a man. And remember, guys, it always says what a real man would do. But the question remains, what does a real woman do? Because a real woman understands that her man is a leader in that relationship. A real woman understands that it's her job to follow her husband. A real woman understands that that man becomes the best version of himself when she is genuinely feminine, when she's genuinely nurturing, where she's genuinely kind. And I would say, guys, that all human beings have deficits. I'm not going to say that this is a black woman issue. It's not a black woman issue. This is an American woman issue. It's a Western issue. But women, by nature, if they can manipulate you, they will manipulate you if you don't stand firm on your principles as a man. And Mike Jones talked about it better than I can talk about it. Back then, she didn't want me. Now hot chicks, they all on me. And they're coming for you guys because you now have crossed the finish line. After you put in 6 years of hard work going to school, getting your master's, getting your doctorate, getting your PhD, getting your bachelor's degree. Now she wants to come to the finish line only to say, I'm not happy, and damn taking you half of everything you got because she thinks she's better than you and she's entitled to your resources as a man. And some of you women wonder why most modern men don't want to get married to modern women. Because most average men or most modern men are very invisible to most modern women. How many of you guys have seen times when women that are overweight don't want a man that's overweight? She can be almost 500 pounds, but you can't be 500 pounds. She can be broke, but she don't expect you to be broke. Because that's the minimization of you as a man, and it's the magnification of her as a woman. And because of that, guys, it's continuing to cause these relationship issues in our communities and our families. Many men continue to have very low self-esteem. And because of that, guys, there's another thinking error called catastrophizing. Every relationship you get into, you tell yourself, I'm not worthy of that woman. And you expect the worst instead of demanding power. I told you guys that you have more power than you realize. You have more power than you realize when you learn to broker what you expect from a relationship. But if you're not demanding anything in a relationship, you're allowing her to come into your life without adding any value. You're dealing with women that when you get with her, she says she's the table, not understanding that manhood made that table. Then I blame you and I don't blame her. Because when you know better, guys, you do better. If a woman tells you she's the table, that's a delusional woman. Because if you look at it from the essence of science, all human beings are more or less descendant of the man. The woman is the incubator. But it's the seed of man that determines the sex of a child. A child cannot have an identity or purpose unless it has the seed of man. But that woman uses her womb to nurture the seed of man, because the seed of man is what determines life. The sperm is the life force, or the God spark to life. The woman nurtures that seed because she's that man's cheerleader. She's his oscillator. And she helps nurture that seed to become what's called suitable for society and the community. But now liberal policies have led many of our women to think that they are better. And what you're seeing now, guys, you're beginning to see men revert to apathy because they don't see the benefit of relationships. I'm going to read some of the comments, and we're going to continue to have a conversation because we got to continue this movement for empowerment. My man, Mr. Mitchell, said, ain't going to lie. Only one woman I liked back in high school still fine today. All others look like a busted can of biscuits. Shout out to Coach Greg. A busted can of biscuits, no doubt. And as I said earlier, shout out to my man Ingram Experience for more or less showing some love. And guys, if you have not donated, donate to the channel. I'm going to drop my link for my Cash App too, but donate. I'm so honored to have you guys become invigorated through male empowerment because it's needed in this critical time that we live here in America. My man Christopher Daly said that she needs a baby face after 7 to pay her rent, buy her clothes, cook dinner too, and give her that sun, moon, stars. And you know, Christopher Daly, here's the crazy thing about it. Men by nature are very romantic. Men are very romantic. Men are the arbiters of romance. We are very romantic, and men tend to be very loyal when they're in love. That's why I said a man is very dangerous when he's in love. That's why I don't really believe that men should lead relationships in love. Because when a man falls, and I'm going to say it again, when he falls in love, it can be very dangerous to his mind and his self-esteem. So I don't advocate for men to fall in love. I believe men should reason through love. There's a succinct difference. When you fall in love, you make yourself very vulnerable. When you reason in love, you see her for what she is. Somebody said you can either love her or hate her or understand her, but you can't do both. When you understand female nature, you don't hate them. You just see women for what they are, and you proceed accordingly. But when you fall in love by giving a woman all of you, then you're very vulnerable, which can lead you to have what's called a mental implosion. And when you have that mental implosion, it can cause you to have what's called mental fragmentation. So I'm going to keep reading some of these comments, and shout out to my man Tim Howard for the $5 super sticker. Tim always hold me down and come through. And guys, at some point, I'm going to get some new moderators to help Tim and also to help Gail, because I need more moderators as I grow, okay? So thank you guys. But the Ingram experience said they want the black man to accept mediocrity. The cleanup man, you're right. And he said, F that. And I agree. You don't have to be a cleanup man where there are more women on this planet than men. You don't have to be a cleanup man where if every woman in America got married, 2 million still would be without a husband. Even if you are a quote-unquote average man, your average in another country is actually better. If she feels like you making $42,000 is not enough, that's fine. Keep working on yourself, keep building yourself, and take your average behind elsewhere where you are celebrated instead of being tolerated. Because you should never give your power to somebody that see you as less than. You should only give your power to a woman that's come into a relationship to serve you, to build your purpose, to help you build your kingdom on earth, and also to nurture your seed. But sadly, guys, with no-fault divorce has told many men through the lens of logic that, why am I getting married? Because there is no benefit. Like Mike Jones said, once again, back then she didn't want me. Now hot chicks, now they all on me. And right now, those same girls from high school that rejected you in your past, they want to come on your team and your program. And some of these sympathizers are going to say, oh, you're just jealous, you're socially awkward, you don't have a good relationship with women. No, doesn't mean the man is socially awkward. It doesn't mean that he has bad relationships with women. It just means that men now have to give so much more, but they're not really getting as much in return as their fathers and their grandfathers and their great-grandfathers got. Black men in the past didn't have to have no game, or more or less get no game from PUAs to get a woman. Sure, you had Mac daddies back in the past, but in general, an average man could get an average woman about 50 to 60 years ago. But now average women don't think the average men are worthy enough. And what it's done is what's called relationship inflation. My man Ingram experience called it relationship capitalism, where men should learn the products of capitalism and more or less use those tenets to get the best woman that they want. If he feel like he can get a better product from another land, he should do it. If he feel like his gym here is in America, he should go for his gym here in America. But he should never limit himself only to women here in America. He should travel abroad if he feels like those options are better. And I get tired of these arguments that people assume that men that travel abroad are lames, they're perverts, they can't get women. That's a myth. It's also a myth that most women want a green card or they want to come back to America. That's a myth. Are there a small percentage that want to come back and use men for resources and green cards? Yes. But women here in America want green cards, not green cards want resources. So when they use that excuse, it's really just projection, classic projection, and some of it is displaced aggression. Because what it is, guys, many times they don't really want you. They just want your resources. They weren't concerned about you traveling abroad until you decide to do what's best for you, because many of them see you as their slave. They see you as their drone. She's the queen bee, you're the drone. They don't see you as a free-thinking man that has a right to exercise his options anywhere that he goes. I've never seen a time, guys, where we got to ask our women permission for what we want to do with our lives, when they freely do what they want to do. And I'm not talking about the good sisters that were raised by strong fathers. I'm not talking about those sisters. Shout out to those good sisters. There are some good sisters that believe in men being men, like Dr. O, like Miss Parker Back to Basics and Mika G's. There are some good sisters that don't have a problem with men being men. Well, I'm talking about those women that try to shame men. You know, the same women they don't really want you, but they don't want you to be happy either. Because what you guys got to understand with some women is this. A woman will get free attention from you without giving you anything in return. You know, they love what's called simp orbiters or beta male pacifiers. They love those men. You know, they give them the illusion of hope. Those women give men that dopamine rush that he's going to be able to get a kiss from or get some sex. It's the dopamine rush. So that goofy simp is constantly orbiting around that woman because he's a pacifier, thinking that he's going to get something from that relationship. But if that goofy simp will learn to put his purpose over prospects, he will realize through the process of relationship capitalism that he can get a better woman long term. And that's what happens, guys, when you love yourself more than the prospects in this current malaise called America. When you learn love yourself over the prospects here in America, then you can start demanding more. You can tell her, look, boo, you got to work out if you're going to be on my team. You'll tell her if you don't cook and you think cooking makes you a slave, then you're not worthy to be in my life. Because in other countries, women love to serve their men. They don't count it robbery to give their man a meal. They don't count it robbery to give their man a foot rub. They don't count it robbery to give that man a body massage. Because they love that man and because they honor masculinity. Now, I'm going to show you guys another clip in a minute. Hold tight. Give me 1 minute. I'm going to show you guys another clip because I got some fire for your mind. Give me 1 minute. I'm going to show you guys another clip that I want to show you guys. This brother's blown up. He's been on the Lead Attorney show. And, he talks about foreign travel and foreign alternatives. And when men begin to see what their worth is, they're no longer pigeons of the past. And so some folks get mad and frustrated. But this is what I say. And he did a good show that got him over 120,000 views. It was a good show. And I don't know. Well, I don't know if this is going to be appropriate. So, but anyway, he talked about the things that he got. And what he got the most was a cooperative woman. And I'm going to show you guys this little short clip. Hold tight. Hold tight. If I can find it. Hold tight. Let me share this.
The Travel OG, and I traded in my Hollywood lifestyle for the sexy beaches of Catastrophising.
I don't know if I've seen YouTube videos
so this
that
brother
have this type of production value.
Has been on the Lead Attorney channel. Shout out to the Lead Attorney. And he's grown 100%. But I'm trying to tell you guys, you don't have to settle for mediocrity. If you feel like you can find your woman here in America, an uncovered gem, find her here in America. Because there's some good sisters that have been uncovered. But if you can't find her here, then you need to explore your options through relationship capitalism. Listen.
I'm the Travel OG, and I traded in my Hollywood lifestyle for the sexy beaches of
Shout out to Zoom Thailand.
We're bringing you exclusive interviews, showing you what the golf courses are like, the caddies are like, what the homies like. Zoom to Thailand with your man Richie Mack, the Travel OG. Kevin Samuels, the Godfather. The man on the front line who tells the truth to men and women. Wait, stop the music. Before we get into this, I want to give a shout out to the Lead Attorney.
Are y'all ready?
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
All right, look who we got in the house. We got our man Richie Mack in the house. Richie Mack, how are you doing?
What up, Lead? Thanks, TLA, for supporting me, letting me come on your channel. Man, I really appreciate it. You sent a lot of subs over to me, too. Thank you, brother. Now, let's get
back to the lecture at hand.
K-Sam uses the acronym FBI.
One love to the FBI. How we doing, everybody?
Meaning feminine, beautiful,
Loves a baby that grows up wild, and he don't do what you want him to.
and inspirational.
My wife, Vanessa, you guys don't know this, but the last game, I don't know if I can do this thing. She said, I want to show you something. I got a gift for you from Magic, from from Shaq, from Michael Jordan, all with personal messages. And when I saw that, I knew that I had to turn it up. Thank you, baby, for being an inspiration to me.
To me, the right inspirational person can bring out the best in anybody. FBI. Even though I don't think I'll ever get married again, I have an FBI woman here in Thailand. Let me present the evidence. She's feminine, she's beautiful, and by
YouTube videos that have his title.
she can fry some chicken. She's
You guys heard what that brother said. He said he don't think he'll ever get married again. That's what happens when a man become imprinted by love, only to find that love causing him pain irreparable. Keep listening.
feminine, she's beautiful, and by the way she takes care of me, she inspires me every day.
I don't answer this way. This is what she do. How cool
She lets me get my work done, she doesn't nag, she makes me breakfast every morning, and she can fry some chicken. Thais know how to fry. I even taught her how to make grits. She makes me grits in the morning. She's learning pancakes. She's a good cook. I mean, whatever I like or whatever makes me happy, that's what she does to keep me happy. And I do the same for her. She makes me dinner at night if we don't go out. She brings me tea before she goes to bed. Yeah, Noodle, walking it out. Huh, Noodle? Huh, we walking it out. Say, walk it out.
Walking out.
Yeah. She even took up golf because she saw it was something I enjoyed doing. I told her Tiger Woods was half black and half Thai, and she lost her mind. Can you believe it's a lot of people in Thailand under a certain age that don't know Tiger Woods is half Thai? To me, that's like black people not knowing Obama's half black. Sometimes I think she likes golfing better than me. All right, this is what we do. We golfing in the house. Show him, Noodle. Let me see you hit the golf ball. Show him that you know how to golf. Just don't break a window, all right? Nice. Nice. That's how you golf with the big old leg? All right, don't I get a turn? When's my turn? Oh, you missed the whole damn ball. All right. All right, you better not break a window. There you go. We see you. She plays the Oculus Quest with me, dropping it like it's hot, punching and ducking. She's down for trying just about anything with me, including taking a dip in the pool. There you go. Being a domestic partner is normal for her. I take care of the bills, she takes care of the house. That's the kind of world I want to live in. Let me give you another example. As I'm editing, she'll see my fingernails are dirty and start cutting my nails. I can't make this up. I'm up here trying to edit Zoom to Thailand Part 2. Thailand.
Guys, this is the kind of behavior that most men crave. We're not talking about dusty men that want something for nothing, but we're talking about productive, good men. I believe that most of the men listening to this platform are good, hardworking men. They're educated brothers like myself. They just want a good woman that's going to honor them, respect them, love them, a woman that's going to bring them peace of mind. And we have these conversations because we want to be seen as human beings, not human doings. But like I said before earlier, guys, like Michael Jackson said, they really don't care about us. There's a percentage that only see you as a means to an end. And starting 2022, it's all about black male empowerment and black men doing what's best for themselves as it relates to their mental health and also as it relates to their power and freedom as men. Keep listening.
Thailand versus Philippines. And this one, she got to do this while I'm working. See, this is why it takes me so long to get my episodes done. You finished? You said loud? That's one, but I'll take it. To some American women, this is a bad or weak thing. Not to her, and definitely not to me. This is my version of FBI. And when I take her out, she looks beautiful for me. And she already has beautiful brown skin, and sometimes she curls it up to give her that biracial look. I'm not saying all women in Thailand are like this, but I'm saying when you're dating a woman in her 30s, it's a good chance this is what you're gonna get. Like my man Skylar says, I'm waiting for somebody in the chat room that's been here to tell me I'm lying. This is my partner in crime, my lover, my friend, my translator, my right hand here in Thailand. And the craziest part of it all, the women outnumber the men here, it seems like 40-1. Thai women love black men. I'm going to do an episode on that as well.
Look at the down people. Look at the down.
You like this color?
My down.
Down means black in Thai. And after she saw those ladies and saw it like that color, guess what she did? Went right out and laid out and got dark. That's my girl. Join the family, y'all. I'm going to keep bringing you quality videos, but I need you to support the channel by subscribing and comment to let me know how I'm doing or any suggestions you might have to keep you motivated. I don't understand how people be hating on people for having passports, but if you really want to hate, you can hate on me. I want to thank Skylar at Think Smart Financials.
The information isn't out there specifically for black men. They don't understand the economics. In a lot of these different countries, the women put their best foot forward first. And Kevin Samuels mentions this a lot of times, and I got to give him credit. He calls the women out for their submissive, conditional femininity. The women overseas, especially in South America, are feminine from beginning to end. They're more appreciative of when you do.
And that's true. Shout out to my man. I forgot his name. It doesn't mean that there are not some women that are not feminine, but in general, we're talking about general. General always trumps the exception. They tend to be more feminine and cooperative. It's just how they're raised. There was a time our women were raised that way as well. But it appears that the policies of now have more or less lied to our women, and it's caused them to be sabotaged based on liberal ideologies. And this brother that's talking is a world traveler. So we're talking about averages. We know that there's some unsavory women abroad. We know that there's some manipulative women abroad as well. We understand that. But we're talking about the averages. And I advocate to the single men and the men that weren't married, if you have not explored options abroad, because world travel is one of the 7 steps to male optimization, then do that if, and I say if, you feel like you can't find your gym here in America. Keep listening.
Do things for them.
I'm looking forward to working with you, brother, in the future. And I gotta give a shout out to Poor Man's Podcast.
What's up, YouTube? Poor Man Podcast back with another video. Give me the HBO special. That's the Help Brother Out special. Hit the like and subscribe button for more content.
Showing us how to grind. And O'Shea Duke Jackson for being a real one from my home state. If you like what I'm doing, help me get to 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year, y'all. Shout out to all the people in the comments section. We got something big happening in 2022, so join the family. Stay in tune, stay in contact, bang that bell, and I catch you.
All right, guys, that was just a little short snafu, a little short snipping about male empowerment, because I believe in the empowerment and the advocacy of men. Shout out to my man, Not Perspective, for the $10 super sticker. Thank you, brother. He said it's a shame that we can't get basic treatment for our hard work. And you're correct. It's never enough. And that's what I hear from so many men. They feel like their good is never good enough. James Ingram said it back in the past that he gave his best, but his best was never good enough. And that's how a lot of men feel. They feel like their best is never good enough. They give their time, they give their labor, they give their body. And for some, it's never enough. And so men are beginning to either become apathetic or they're beginning to explore their options abroad to get the women that they want. And this is what happens, guys, when men become frustrated because their good is never good enough. They become bad boys. I might do a show on that, when the good boys become bad boys. Some of you guys that are listening have become bad boys because of the pain from the past. You turn to the dark side because the dark side is more easier than discipline. And Tim, you're correct. It's not a black woman thing per se. It's a Western woman thing. You're right, Tim. Western culture has derailed a lot of our women. It's caused a lot of our women to be saboteurs of their own ignorance. And it's unfortunate. because we can't get the best outcomes until we start loving ourselves. Shout out to my man Michael Green for the $5 super chat. Thank you, brother. Michael Green, again, another great show, no doubt. Thank you, Michael Green. I appreciate it, dog. Much love and blessings, brother. And guys, as we continue to grow this platform and to grow this channel, we're going to continue to have these discussions because it's important that men continue to get the outcomes that they need in order to become successful. But some of you guys have turned to bad boys because of the pain that you've been going through as men. You know, it's a culture that they call the pump and dump. And, you know, I don't necessarily advocate that, but I understand why men do it. So I'm going to drop the link, and we're going to have a powerful discussion because this is a monologue, not a dialogue. This is a monologue, not a dialogue. Guys, to the 2050 that are watching, I love you guys. Please share the content. If you expect to come up, if I don't know you, then you got to show your face. If I dealt with you from an avatar perspective in the past, I'll still continue to do it. Tim, make sure you be vigilant and very diligent on these streams. I'm going to get some moderators. I know Gail is in the chat. Shout out to my dear friend Gail. But Gail and Tim, be very diligent because I want to make sure I keep this movement going, all right? Shout out to my man, Golden Child. He said the goal post of the so-called black man has always been moved. Yes, sir, you're correct, brother. Every time we give one thing, they move it even further. So it's never enough. And so I'm telling you guys this year, begin to love yourself. So I'm dropping the link. And we're going to have a discussion. And you're right, Kevin Robinson. It is a lot of game in this episode, right? Because we're looking at the odds, guys. We're not saying that women abroad don't have their issues. Women universally want the same thing at their base level. But at the top of that, there are intangibles that have more or less been fortified through healthy socialization. But at their base level, you know, some could argue they're all the same. Resources, protection, provision, and security. But at the top, they've been socialized to honor and respect masculinity. And the men there demand things because men are the prize catchers. So I've dropped the link and let's have a conversation. But you cannot come up on my show if I don't know you. If you came up in the past with the avatar and I know you, then I don't have a problem with it. But in general, to all my new people, you need to come up and you can't be an avatar unless I've known you and vetted you in the past. All right. So my man, I'm Cool Gent, said the lost value system here in the Western world. You're right, man. The value system here is going crazy. But I want to ask you guys, once again, how many of you guys are suffering in silence because back then she didn't want you, but now hot chick, she's all on you. Shout out to my man, Barry Hamilton. He said, good subject, Kosher. I always appreciate your content. He said, I traveled to Southeast Asia over several years, and the ladies set the standard for femininity, no doubt. Much love and respect, Barry. Shout out to my man, G Money. G Money, how you doing, sir?
Brother, how you doing? Happy New Year's, happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
No
how
doubt.
You been, brother?
Man, I've been blessed, man. I want to see you men empowered on this year because it's time for black men to become empowered in this malaise called America. So how would you like to add clarity to this discussion and also to the topic? And guys, if you feel comfortable, I would love to see you guys. Cam up if you feel comfortable. I want to see what I'm looking at, you know, I mean, unless you're at work. If you guys don't mind cam up, please, okay?
I mean, I'll show you my face real quick because I'm driving, I'm holding the phone. I'll cam up. That's me.
Okay, there you go. There you go, brother. How you doing, G Money?
I'm good. I might have to, because I'm holding my phone, I'm driving.
Okay, cool. You good, brother. Go ahead. Hey, Cool Gent, unmute yourself, brother. If you don't mind camming up for a minute, G Money, Cool Gent.
So let me try to swap it to the I got to swap to my phone if I can cam up.
Okay, all right. Okay, you're good, G Money. But go ahead, brother. How would you like to add to the conversation?
Yeah, so I just dropped a super chat under a different name, just talking about, you know, the goalposts of a good black man. You know, it's always being moved, you know, and
right.
The thing is, like, Dr. T.S.Johnson Johnson did a classic show. It's probably one of his best shows. You probably caught it. What does it mean to be a good black man? I think black men need to come out of this mindset and notion of what society says, or specifically what certain black women say what a good black man should be. I think it's harmful to us. I think it gets us to accept lower standards, and I think it affects us pursuing happiness. Being a good black man doesn't necessarily mean that you gotta accept a woman who has a bunch of kids with a bunch of different baby daddies.
Right.
You gotta be overly agreeable with everything women do, because what tends to happen is, you get into conversations with people and they kind of want to have women that have no sort of accountability. I saw a video that Poor Man's podcast did. Shout out to that brother. And it was kind of like one of those interviews he was doing with a woman, like they were in the kitchen, they were talking, and the woman is just a stereotypical modern day, black woman, overweight, talking about, she deserves a big house. And, he was having a lot of patience with her, shout out to him, I'm the type of person that I'll just say it as it is. No, that's not how it is. There's not this abundance of dudes out here that you can just pick off the good black man tree, but willing to date you. And I would have made comments about her parents. I would have told her that she needs to get in the gym and lose weight. Because just like we spoke about on a previous show that you had me on the panel, a black man is expected to be a Superman. He's expected to be in shape. He's expected to be tall. He's expected to make a whole bunch of money. We need to have the same sort of standards for women, in particular to what the type of women that we want. And this whole notion of a good black man, it's just kind of contorted and skewed in favor of what makes a woman happy. Our happiness counts as well, and we just need to put our foot down. And I always talk about standards, just having standards. And once we change the paradigm of what standards are, these issues we're having will change overnight. And until that occurs in this country, I strongly suggest to the brothers to get your passports and travel and live your life. And you might not even be looking for love. You just travel and just live your life and just try to be happy.
Right.
And that's pretty much what I gotta say on this topic.
No doubt. Much love and blessings, man. And, I count an honor to serve you guys, man, because I want to see our young men win. I don't want you, Cool G Money, to go through what so many men went through. And also, Cool Gent, when you get time, man, you can pop back on, brother. I want to hear your perspective, but you always add clarity. So you don't necessarily have to cam up, Cool G. I just want you to pop in if you can, cammed up for a minute. But I definitely want you to come back on in a minute. But Ingram experience, we talked about it in the past, relationship capitalism. That's a term that you coined, and guys, go check out the Ingram experience. But you coined a term called relationship capitalism. I want you to tell the audience what you mean by that, brother.
Well, I created that term relationship capitalism because it had to do more with self-empowerment. And you talk a lot about it, brother, on this show. When men are empowered, or when men look at life through a capitalistic perspective, then they look at relationships different, because you look at relationships in the business sense. And when you take the emotions out of it, when you look at a woman, or a woman looks at a man, you look at them in terms of, how does this person add value to my life? See, when you deal with a currency of value, then you say to yourself, if I'm with this person, does my life getting better? And like I also always talk about men got to look at their happiness as a moral virtue. Because the culture itself looks at men as disposable. Because you listen to how they define our value, especially black men in this country, their first thing they talk about our value as being the sacrificial. If you, like, I was looking at that Disney movie, The Stepdad, where they to look at a guy as a hero who wipes up this woman, or meets with this woman with multiple kids and whatever. They always say we're not these real men, if we're not wifing up these single moms, or we're not doing anything that serves other people. But the moment Black men starts doing stuff that contribute to their own happiness, that doesn't fit into the narrative of the social program of us as the sacrificial animal, then they want to shame Black men. Who hurt you? Who did this? Just because you have a standard, just because you're not willing to get into the social programming, just because you're not willing to give your life for others without a return investment. And I think that's the fundamental problem, because every time I watch a show or watch a podcast, it's always about what Black men are not doing, what they're not doing, how they're not living up to expectations. It's all about serving somebody else's life,
right,
and cleaning up somebody else's mess. I
right,
think that's ridiculous.
Right, and you know, Ingram, I talked about taxation without representation and the mental breaking of the American male. It's not just the Black male; it's the American male. But because my show is dedicated to Black male empowerment, it's the mental breaking of the American male. We got to ask ourselves the question, Ingram, what did men get 40, 50, 60, 100 years ago? Because as I said in the past, men were the prize catchers. They set the template because she is the seller and he's the buyer. And he determines what or if that market that she's selling is worthy to enter into his sphere as a man. You know, Jesus told Nicodemus when he was on the road to Damascus, you must be born again. And the question remains to some modern women, what are you willing to do to be born again mentally to come into the life of a worthy man? But so many of our men, Ingram, have been conditioned to see themselves as less. I want you to talk about, Ingram, the time when you played basketball at Seton Hall. I remember carrot killers and the dudes. You're not Gen X's. You're about 6'8". So I want you to tell the guys about the things that you saw as a world-class athlete playing basketball for Seton Hall University.
Well, the first thing you see is there's different rules for different folks. I know a lot of guys in this space talking about a man has to be leveled up to certain level to get women to do certain things. And you see, and we told that conversation about conditional femininity, that if you achieve this in your life as a man, you put women in a position, therefore they should be feminine, whatever. And what I'm saying to you as an athlete, as a guy that's whatever, you can be doing all these things. But if a woman sees a man as her sexual select preference, it don't matter if he has a job or not.
Right.
She's going to sleep with him. And what you discover as an athlete, as whatever for men, women will do things with you right away.
Right.
That they'll make the average guy wait and play games with him and make him have to live these expectations. But if they have a attraction for that particular man. So this idea of men leveling up and men being this and men being that, that's one thing you learn and you see as an athlete, is that it becomes easier to have access to these women faster than the average guy. Right. And this whole idea of men just thinking that men should just be doing this, and that, and that's what's going to garner them certain attention and reason. Granted, I think men should be on their purpose, be on their grind, and achieve. But there's different rules for different men. And we see that very much so in the community, how different men are treated. But I've learned a lot in terms of female nature from being an athlete, or see how women behave in certain environments. And this idea, like I said, it's not fair. Different strokes for different folks. Mm-hmm. So what I try to explain to guys need to be empowered and be able to make decisions that benefit their life and not accept the social programming and narrative that's being sold here in this country. It's just not like that.
What does purpose over prospects mean to you, Ingram? When you hear the term, I created a term called purpose over prospects. What does that mean to you as a black man? And then I'm going to ask Cool Gent and G Money to chime in.
What that means to me is that for you as a man, you've got to be about achieving your own goals and aspirations and becoming a better version of yourself, separate from women. That have nothing to do with women. This is what you do for your life. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's be honest. Women like men that are winners. And if you're a person, and I'm not talking about doing it for them, I'm talking about doing it for you. Mm-hmm. And that puts you in a psychological, mental frame not to accept less. Because when you put that much effort and work into yourself, you're less likely to accept less from women because you see yourself as a value. And that's why I see purpose over prospects as should be a goal for every man.
Cool Gent, what are you getting from this conversation? Back then she didn't want me. Now hot chicks, they all on me. And what does purpose over prospects mean to you, brother?
Interesting. Thanks for having me on, by the way. Yeah, so apparently, it's a little story if I could tell it for a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
I think it was a lady at the time, someone I think I was interested in though, but it was too much of a big deal though. But when she got to a certain age, she came back and tried to find me. How she was crying and talk about, you're a good looking man, you're not married, you have no kids, and now I'm a single mother. She actually crying to me, and I just I just brushed it off, man. I said, well, that's the life that you chose, and that's what you want to do with your life, because a lot of men go through that here in the Western world, and like I said in that comment section that, as younger men rise like gold as time go on. We get better with our money as long as we stand our purpose. And speaking of purpose, I put that over women because I want truly be satisfied if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do as a man. Going into my purpose, makes me feel like I'm a man. I'm doing something productive. I feel like I'm leaving a legacy behind, my name and stuff.
G Money, prospects over purpose over prospects. What does that mean to you? But also, give me an experience from high school to college, where back then she didn't want me. Now hot chicks, they all on me.
Yeah, so Brother Ingram, he just every time he comes on, he just spits fire. As shout out to that brother.
Thanks,
he's absolutely right. First off, I'll say this, that a man, I'm a strong and firm believer. A man should be about his purpose. Once you look inward and you see that there are things that need to be corrected about yourself, and you take the initiative to correct those things, and you try to be a totally enlightened man. What I mean by enlightened man, you enlighten yourself physically, mentally, spiritually. Once you find yourself on that path, the women will come. The woman will come. I can attest to that. I've seen large levels of success within my personal life, career. And women will come. When they see you posting pictures, you traveling and stuff like that. You're gonna get the "Hey Big Head" text. Dr. T. Hassan Johnson going to the "Hey Big Head," or some variant of that. You guys, I'm sure you guys have seen the "Hey Big Head" text.
Right.
They'll hit you up in the DMs. Hey, how you doing? Haven't heard from you in a while. I'm from the NYC. Oh, I'll be in your area. I'm in Jersey. We should link up sometime. That type of stuff.
Right.
And depending on the relationship I may have had with that woman, because not all of them, I might have tried to holler at. I do have women that I had good relations with, like who I went to school with, and I'll consider it if it's somebody I try to holler at. That's something different. But in terms of experiences, whether in college or whatever, because I went to an HBCU for my undergrad, and then I attended a couple of PWIs for my graduate degrees, and I'm not going to say the name of the HBCU that I went to, but just a hint, it's the real HU. But I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that.
It must be North Carolina Central because it sure as hell ain't AT.
I'll leave it at that.
All right, no, you're all right, man. All right.
But the school that I went to, the women there, there was women that I had relations with, women I wanted to holler at. You get rejected. But what I noticed is, going back to Brother Ingram's point, if a woman is sexually attracted to you. And I've been on both ends of the spectrum. I've been the guy that, you know, a woman is sexually attracted to, and I've been the guy that's had to jump through hoops and do things for certain women, and still I don't get the results that I'm looking for. And you know, when I was younger, you know, I think with some men it's a self-esteem issue. You gotta kind of draw the line in the sand and kind of just set the standards what you're looking for. If sex is what you're looking for as a man, you know, with me, if I'm dealing with a woman and I'm having relations with a woman, that's kind of like a given. You know, if she's talking about being on some abstinence stuff, and I know she's not doing that with other guys, you know, why stick around? Like if I have a standard, like, you know, that's what's gonna be popping off, and you're not trying to do that, and I know you're sexually active with other guys, then why am I dealing with you? Why am I tolerating that?
Right.
And you know, and in the past, there were certain women that I was extremely attracted to that would play that sort of game, and I think they'll play that game with you when they know that you want them. You always got to keep them kind of guessing. You know,
right.
You learn the game over a certain period of time, and you never go into something with your heart on your sleeve. You know, you always got to be nonchalant about it. You have to train yourself to kind of like, you can take it or leave it. You know, like,
right.
And you gotta be ready to cut them off if you're not seeing the results or the treatment that you're looking for. You gotta be ready to cut these chicks off. You know, just cut them off, no contact, because you have to demand respect as a man. And if you're not getting the respect and treatment that you deserve, you know, and I say deserve, especially if you're a man that's doing things, because you know, Pookie, Ray, Donquavius, some of these dudes. They don't need to even take these chicks on dates. You have to think about that. A woman that's really attracted to you and is really feeling you, you don't really have to do much to get her affection. You know, if you find yourself kind of like having to go on multiple dates with a woman, and it's not really going anywhere, and she's not even really showing you any sort of affection. You going for the kiss, moving her head. Why continue seeing that person? You know, because she's probably coming off the date with you calling up Pookie, Ray, Donquavius, in your terms, Raekwon and Man.
Raekwon and Man, right?
And she's calling them up to blow her back out, and he don't gotta take her on no dates. He going straight to the crib, or they going straight to the telly, and you know, ain't no dates involved, no money spending involved. Not to say that I don't like taking women on dates. I do take women on dates. You know, I make sure if I like the one, I make sure she has a good time. But it has to lead to something. It can't just be me entertaining her and there's no affection, there's no sex involved. You know, I usually have a limit, like 2 or 3 dates. And if there's no sex popping off, you know, she gotta go, because at that point she's just using you. You know, and I think a lot of like the younger guys, some of the guys my age, they just don't understand this, because they're so desperate to try to get a woman into bed, and that's when like the whole movement of just traveling comes in, because when you travel and you deal with women of like different cultures and sometimes even different races, you don't gotta do all that to impress them and to, you know, get the results that you're looking for. You know, they'll go out with you. You don't have to spend a bunch of money. You know, they're just happy to be in your presence. And, you know, I think that's a better experience, because you can stay here in this country and you can date and you can go out on multiple dates with women, spend the same amount of money that you would spend traveling, and you won't get any results. You know, and she'll come off the date, laugh at you, and just call up the next man, because that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing, you know. And they're unapologetic about it, and they'll say, you know, I can sleep with whoever I want, which is fine. That's their choice. But I think from the woman's perspective, they should be honest with the guy. If you're not attracted to the guy, you don't like the guy, you shouldn't be having that guy take you out on a whole bunch of dates. You know, he can spend his time on his money with, you know, someone that actually wants to be around him, that someone that actually likes him, Or he can spend his time focusing on his purpose and trying to build himself up, get in the gym, focus on your career. If you have a business, focus on that. So I mean, that's what I got to say on that end. I hope I hit all the points that you was asking.
Oh, no. You did an excellent job, brother. What the funk? Back then, she didn't want me. Now, hot chicks, they all on me. What does that mean to you? And why should purpose always supersede prospects, in your opinion? Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, brother. There you go.
Hear me?
Yes, sir.
It means that you're ruining a classic line from Mike Jones. It's back then they didn't want me, now I'm hot, now they all on me.
Oh, I was close.
But I get the premise. That is a class. I'm Oklahoma. That we remember calling the actual number of Mike Jones when that first popped off.
Right.
Great moment in time. But you're absolutely correct. I think that goes to the kind of point where it's like a lot of women in America don't want to be with a man that's on the process. It's the same way if you're an artist. A lot of people don't like to watch an artist in his creation mode. They just want to see the art that's already created. But that artist spent loads of time to get to that final process that everybody's so in love with. And I kind of use the same analogy for a lot of American women. They don't want to see the process of the art. They just want to see it finished and be all, oh, okay. And that's bad alchemy. Whereas when you go into other countries, it's completely different. Like when I went to Brazil, it was completely mind-blowing to see that women really, and I think a lot of men get this messed up. It's a finesse in Brazil, but it's an open finesse. And it's actually way easier. Whereas in America, it's a bunch of lies and finesse. Like in Brazil, when you go, like you know what you're getting. Like you can either pay for it or you can seduce yourself into it. It doesn't matter. The whole culture is just like, yo, if we're doing this, we're doing this. Where in America, it's such a stupid cat and mouse game that I think that all men, before they have children, really need to go to Brazil to find out and get treated a proper way that they actually want to be treated. And it also goes the same way with other countries. Once you leave the matrix of America and go to a country where you as an American black man are already kind of celebrated and admired, and then you actually show that you're not the stereotypical one, you get treated in a way that's just, honestly, the correct way to be treated. I had a conversation with them ladies the other day, and they're like, we speak passionately, we yell. And I'm like, and they're like, all women yell at their men. And I'm like, no, they do not.
No, they don't, right?
You are completely, no. I've been around many black women. There's black women here in Germany, black women in Netherlands, black women in Switzerland, where they have a very amazing decorum. And even in Brazil, when I was in the favelas, the women who were in the most dangerous places still were feminine because they knew they had a protection from the neighborhood around them.
Right.
They never had the whole, that shit would get you killed in Brazil. And I think a lot of people, black men and black women, need to put themselves in situations where they are actually in danger, where they realize that their attitude and the way they speak to people can get them completely funked up. And once you go through that, especially our women, they go to places where they're comfortable or like resorts. I think you really have to travel and be immersed with the poor people for at least 3 months and really like to pick up their culture and pick up their art. And once you come back to America, you have a completely different mind frame.
I want to show you guys a clip from a show I did in the past. G-Money, you talked about Dr. Johnson. Dr. Johnson now done several shows. He's a homie of mine. And thank you to all the guys that have donated. Thank you, Ingram, from that very, very, very awesome super chat. I appreciate it, brother. And to the people that have not donated, donate to the channel. If you don't have any money, I'm okay with that. I need everybody to start sharing the content. It's 49 people that are watching. If 49 people share this content, you will help me get to my goal of 3,000 a lot sooner. But these shows are time consuming. I wanted to start the new year off right, giving you guys inspiration and hope. But I'm going to tell you guys why purpose supersedes prospects, because some women see you as just icons of being picked off the man tree. I'm going to show you this clip that I did with Dr. Johnson in the past. It was a classic show, but I got some clips cut out because, I was using Patty LaBelle. I'm on my own. And basically took the whole stream down, man. But it was a good show, man. Hold tight. I'm going to show you guys real quick. And I'm going to tell you guys why you guys should put purpose over prospects. All right, hold tight. Can you guys hear it? What do you get from those case studies as it relates to the delusion that some of these women are having, as many feel that they have an unlimited supply as it relates to men in relationships?
Oh, I think we're in an era where, and this has been the case for the last few decades, but it's only gotten worse because of social media. I think there's an idea that attention equates to opportunity. And so, when you're talking about women, I think her name was it Paco? When she was talking about how she thought she had it going on and she divorced her husband. I know women to this day in their 60s who are looking to get back out there because of the attention they're getting on, not even dating it, just on Facebook. You know what I mean? Right. And many believe that that's going to turn into something and that all their needs are going to be met. And the difference, as she pointed out, between being flirted with, or I think this was the first one, who being flirted with, being hollered at, versus actually having someone invest genuine attention. I think a lot of people get confused about the difference between those things. And I think that's where we are. Social media has really blown that up. And just the most minor compliment on a picture. And sometimes I see 300 compliments on a picture still. People think that that's going to translate into substance if I leave my husband or whatever that is. And I've rarely seen that work.
And, that's unfortunate because, I call it cognitive distortion at its finest. Kevin Samuels talked about sign language, Dr. T.S. Johnson, and I created something called DEF. And DEF is tied to the clinical world as it relates to they deny the evidence that the man tree is not going to always be here. They become enraged when you present them with the evidence. They accuse you, do ad hominem attacks, and they fight or they flee because of fear. And I know that unfortunately, some of our women, not all, have been more or less compromised as it relates to liberal policies. Why do you think liberal policies, Dr. T.S. Johnson, has played a role in this deception of so many modern women from your clinical research as a professor?
Well, I think one of the main reasons is it promoted independence, which I think dovetailed with the rising second wave feminist movement. The idea being that now you live in an era where you don't need men. You don't need to rely on men. You can rely on the state, rely on access to a degree. You can rely on a white collar job. These things can be acquired in lieu of men. And now here's the thing though. So we're talking late 60s, early 1970s at the latest, where this is beginning. We're in 2021. So we're talking several generations deep, meaning you have young women that have seen their grandmothers and their mothers. They themselves are doing it and they're raising their daughters to do it, to this dynamic where men are for sexual pleasure. They're for reproduction when you get fit to see that through. They are, they're there to compliment you, maybe protect you. But at the end of the day, they are interchangeable. So, and I just had a colleague of mine call me about this the other day, the extent to which his, I guess, for lack of a better term, his baby mama got upset with him because he wouldn't provide fathering services to her other children.
Right.
Because she just decided he needed to, even though that's not his responsibility. But the point is, she assumed that those things should be provided and interchangeable based on whatever man was there, simply because she had multiple kids and she felt it necessary. But that doesn't come out of a vacuum. That actually comes out of generations. So yes, policy is really the introductory point to that, but the entitlement that comes with that policy, and then the degree to which those kind of expectations are handed down multi-generationally, creates a context where this is how many of our women are socialized, and our young men are growing up seeing this and trying to find their way in this. To what extent are they going to allow themselves to be disposable and interchangeable? To what extent are they going to rebel from it in one way, shape, or form? Whether it's to leave the country or whether it's to go monk.
And guys,
there are ways in which men.
And guys, what you're seeing now is a rebellion. You're seeing a rebellion from the norms of modern and Western society, and that's why I did the show. Back then, she didn't want me. Now that I'm hot, she's all on me, because when you put your purpose over the current prospects here in America, you're not going to burn yourself out on the empty illusion called hope. dopamine is very dangerous to your psyche as a man. It's that love-induced infusion that can put you in a psychotic state when you realize the love that you was giving to her, she's not going to give back to you in return. There are good women that are willing to do it for you, but sadly here in the Western world, you don't see it as much as you should see it. And that's why I advocate for men to do what's best for them. Shout out to my man Andrew Baker for the $20 cash out. Thank you, brother. Much love and blessings. We're going to keep listening. This and then we're going to finish the panel discussion. Hold tight, guys.
Are starting to rebel even at a young age. I mean, this youngest generation, who are just kind of opting out, that is a form of rebellion. That is a form of voting with their feet. They don't like the options presented to them, and they don't want to compete. So these are the kind of dynamics that are going on, and they're deeply entrenched. And at some point, we got to have some honest dialogue. But if the environment and the material resources that you have access to continue to complement this lifestyle, what incentive do many women have to actually grapple with the realities? Well, unfortunately, too many of them don't do so until over 40, and then the game has changed. And even that becomes a whole new revelatory experience for a lot of women, because I grew up in an era with Generation X women who thought that the gravy train would never end.
Right.
And to this day, in their 50s, and I'm talking late 40s, 50s, early 60s even, I encounter women that still expect to be treated like they were at 21 and cannot fathom why they are not being treated that way.
Right, right.
Now, last thing I wanted to add to it, if I could, is just the importance of marriage. A year and a half ago, a colleague told me about a friend of hers who's having an affair with a married man, right? She says having this affair with a married man is the most important relationship of her life. She's enjoying herself, blah, blah, and blah. The man gets into a motorcycle accident, severely damages his body, his spine, the whole deal. Right. He's in the hospital for at least almost a year. This woman could not so much as make a phone call to his hospital room. Right? She doesn't have any contact with him for about a year. Why? She's not married to him. Only his wife has contact. Right. So what she kind of got hit with in that moment was just one dimension of the seriousness of marriage in this society when it comes to having access. We're not even talking about what may have happened had he died. You know what I mean? Especially even if they may have had kids together. The degree to which marriage as a contract in this society plays a role in regard to women's stability. Right. But once we start to dismantle this idea that it doesn't mean anything and attention is attention and sex is sex and all of those things are interchangeable, you don't find out until, just like, again, going back to Paco, you reach that age where you realize the gravy train has stopped. Right. You're not getting your doors kicked down, and unless you're talking about men that may want to hang out with you, but there's no investment. Now it's like, okay, wait a minute, what do I do? And this is the reality we're getting to now, where these things have to be talked about differently. There's not a lot of incentive for, or at least a lot of women don't believe there is, for them to have to change. But they're noticing the outcomes are not what they thought they would be.
Right, and what you're saying is vital and very important, because some have been more or less hoodwinked and some refuse to adjust. And what you said was awesome. So give you applause. Did you guys hear that? Dr. Johnson gets an applause for that. But I'm testing this equipment out, man. I got so much stuff going on, man. But he gets applause with that. That was an excellent dissertation, a verbal dissertation by Dr. T.S.N. Johnson, eminent scholar. But Dr. O, when you hear what Dr. Johnson said, and shout out to my dear friend Laquita from Blind Guy, his wife there, like, she's a good sister. She's married, and she just more or less articulated what some women believe. Even though she's a good sister, she's married. She thought at one point too that the man tree was unlimited, and that at any point they can just pick a man from the tree. But winter is coming. It's here. The sun is setting. Many women are in the winter, almost about to go into the fall and the winter of their life, and unfortunately, many are going to die alone. And my dear friend Kelly from from My Vivid Life, go check her out. She talked about the divorce that she had at one point and how dating is crazy. And so I use these 3 case studies, with Paca being the worst, to let the women that are listening know that you have to be very pragmatic in your dating approaches, because if you're not pragmatic, you're going to be singing this the error of your ways. You're going to go through that downward spiral where you're going to be singing that song by Patti LaBelle, and you're going to die alone. So stay with Junebug, love yourself, respect your men, cooperate. Good men, not dusty men. We don't endorse dusty men. Eric and I and Ty, and Chaos Rain, we don't endorse dusty men. We endorse men that are men of principle, men that stand firm on their convictions, but men that take care of their women and love them. I think a lot of times it's a small infusion. It was a small infusion, guys, of why men should put purpose over prospects, because you heard what Dr. Johnson said and what the funk added a little satire to it. More of the lessons don't get a motorcycle, but more of the lesson don't deal with most modern Western women, because it's going to leave you in a very perilous state, because they have not been conditioned to love, serve, and honor you as a man, and many are very selfish. And it's sad, and it's very sad, because it's time for men to start loving yourself. But let's go back in time. Starting with the Ingram experience. I want you to talk about the negative imprint of that negative schema that you got, Ingram, from a bad relationship, and how it impacted you, Ingram, with some of the women that you dealt with in college or even in your marriage that failed, unfortunately. Hold tight.
Okay,
go ahead, brother. Now? Yes, sir. Huh?
It gives me a new way of looking at life, because you look at how society was conditioned us to believe that if you do more, it gets better. But the reality is you have to always look at what are you getting anyhow to begin with. Because what happens now, even, I think for me, I'm more aware. I'm aware of female nature more because I've experienced certain things in life. I'm aware of some of the pitfalls of certain things with marriage, relationships, how you need to look at relationships going into it, in terms of looking at things from a business perspective in some regards, because you want to look at value as what do people add to each other's life. But as I get older now, and you're getting to this secondary dating market, which is a minefield for both men and women, but especially for men. The secondary dating market is one of the most treacherous places out here, because like you said, at first they didn't want me. Now I'm hot, they all want me, because now you got to worry about, is that woman really into you for you or for security?
Right.
And then you look at in terms of what are these women bringing? See, as Dr. Tiasan was talking about, and as you talk about the kosher clinician, I have a perspective of what is being brought to the table to you, and at the value at what is being brought to the table to you. For instance, you're expected as a man, provision, protection, security, all these things are provided. You're expected to provide traditional benefits as a man, regardless. But sometimes the product that you're getting, if a woman has been out here for so many years, she's had her back blown out, she's had hot girl summers, she's been pounded viciously pounded out here because of the sexual liberation movement, the sexual, obviously she's been, let's be honest, you get a woman that's close to my age, exceptions may be, but she's been vigorously pounded by so many men.
Right.
And if she comes to the table and there's a problem with and she's asking men, and the men are asking her, what do you bring to the table? Because obviously, to me, there is some depreciation, because a woman's value is in her virtues to us.
Right.
And what we're having now in the secondary market of dating is the culture itself are telling Black men that you're not supposed to look at depreciation. You're not supposed to raise up that flap on the back of a woman's ass and see that there's 500,000 miles on there. You're supposed to accept this woman as brand new, provide brand new provisions for a woman with over 500,000 miles on her.
Right.
And you're supposed to, your protection, security, and all that stuff is still the same. It's even better as you get older. And let's be honest, there is no back 50 years ago, 60 years ago, men were getting women with low body counts, women that were a lot more virtues. Maybe they have 3, 4, 5 guys in their life, maybe 0. Nowadays, it's not surprising that a woman at 30 years old have 50 bodies on her,
right,
have 30 bodies on her, and a guy is expected to come in at full value. That's why when I make my some of my clips, I talk about the price is too low for good men.
Right.
Because here you're coming in as a good man, you've earned your place in this world, and society is telling you, especially as a black man, that your job is to go wife up this single mom, go take care of somebody else's kid, or you're supposed to marry this woman that has 100 bodies on her. And I think that's absolutely ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, man. And, when I hear women talk about, I want a traditional man, what a traditional man got 50 to 60 years ago was a woman that was what you said a couple of minutes ago. Because true traditional men give 100% provision, protection. And I understand that the economy was totally different back then. The women stayed home. But even with the women staying home, she still wanted the prospect of the ring. You can't expect to get 100% traditional man if you're not 100% traditional woman in action, word, and deed. If you're a modern woman, expect to get a modern man, but don't ask for 100% traditional man if you are not 100% traditional woman. You have those that say he should pay all the bills. I say BS. If you're not 100% traditional woman, meaning your wife ready, you don't have multiple kids by multiple men, and you haven't had a lot of fun, you got low bodies to none, then my whole point is you can't make those demands. If that man decides to prorate the relationship based on your experiences, then he got the right to prorate it. But you can't go in expecting top-tier treatment when you don't even meet those expectations. Theology said that the bride prepared herself for the bridegroom. She was prepared to come into a man's life to give him the things he needed to build his kingdom. But now, that's why, like you got sons, men are beginning to either get dowries or they go into countries where the women have been conditioned to love them and to serve them as men. I would ask you a question, what the funk? The imprint of the past. Back then, she didn't want me. Now that I'm hot, she's all on me. What negative schema did you have from the past, what the funk, that caused you as a man to defer power in relationships? Unmute yourself, brother.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
I had a very amazing uncle, Mike Lester from Oklahoma, who was a light-skinned, green-eyed bandit. And he made sure I never fell for that. He put it into me to follow native code to, one, not have children before 27 at least. Right. And he was very much adamant about keeping moving constantly. He said that it was bad alchemy to be with a woman more than 5 months, because once you're there that long and having sex with her, you're asking your elders to impregnate her. He was very much like, after 3 months, you've learned what you need to learn as an artist from a woman, because women are our muses. But after 3 to 4 months, they'll start to turn into mommy mode. And he says it's great to just get the art from them, because Black women are legitimately artistic and they are amazing that way. But it took me about, I guess I did fall for it when I was in 7th grade. That was probably like the last, but even then it was just that it was a high school thing. But he always was telling me, keep moving, keep going restaurant to restaurant, keep traveling, and make that your purpose, because you don't know who you are as a man. And if you don't know who you are as a man, you don't know how you're going to be as a father, and you don't know how you can be as a husband. You have to go through all those things to sow your wild oats. And then as you come back, then when women try to hit on you, you can actually push them away because you've already done all that. So rest in peace, Uncle Mike. He really was a bandit. I mean, bandit, but he definitely taught me the right way.
But I want you to fine tune it more specifically. Okay. Was there ever one woman from the past that left a negative imprint on you mentally that caused you to sabotage yourself in future relationships? Meaning, I was in love with this woman, therefore I kept giving these women these benefits without making her earn it. Because every man has had that one girl, or more or less they were imprinted negatively, whether it be college or high school, where they didn't think they were good enough.
Okay, no, you're absolutely correct. There was one incident when I was in Virginia Beach where I had an apartment fire, and I met this girl in Virginia Beach, and we just was like She lived in Woodbridge. And I was like, shit, I really don't want to go back to Oklahoma. So she was a single mother, and I moved in with her. I put my money up, and we got a place together with me, her, and her friend. Her friend kind of sabotaged the whole relationship, and she ended up breaking up with me on my birthday. But I was just like, okay, forget this. And I just went to DC and started bartending again. But it really did show me that you can really fall in love with the woman and the child, because her daughter was like 1.5, and like we had a great connection. And me and the girl, actually, we still talk to this day. But at the time, it was just so dramatic, the breakup. And I was like, I didn't do shit wrong. Why are you even coming at me with this kind of energy?
Watch your language, brother.
Sorry, say it again.
So watch your language for the algorithm.
Oh, my mistake.
Watch your language. Oh, okay, go ahead.
I didn't do anything wrong. Why am I getting this hood type energy during the breakup? Like if it's a breakup, it's a breakup. But why are you now following me to my next place? Why are you like spreading these rumors? And that's when I think that really kind of planted the seed more of like, when I do break up with a woman, just completely leave the city and let them have it. Because with restaurants, you can go anywhere and work in restaurants. I mean it. Like it's like, heck, I don't like the awkward moments. I didn't like being in the mall and seeing her with the new boyfriend and the kid, and then the kid wants to run to me, and then she like holds the kid back. I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna make this part of my formula from now on. Whenever the breakup's over, okay, next city.
Chaos Ring, how would you like to add clarity to this conversation? And what does it mean to you? Back then, she didn't want me. Now that I'm hot, they all on me. I hope I got it right. What the funk? That how would you like to add clarity to this conversation? Every man go through what's called the imprint of the past, where he's been impacted by a woman. She might say you're ugly, you're lame, you're goofy, or whatever. And a lot of you guys carry that negative imprint into relationships, but also how you respond with women because you defer power. I want you to share with the audience on Chaos Ring a time when you went through that as a man and how it's impacted you. But also, Chaos Ring, at some point, if you don't mind camming up, please cam up in the future for me, okay?
Okay.
All right. Go ahead, brother.
Well, I would say I've never gotten a what we call a serious imprint. I was close to one person that possibly could have, but it didn't really happen. But I will say this, for the back then and now, if you think about culture, for most women now today, because they feel they are all independent, they got it good, they make the money, they're taking trips, that in their mind, they think that men are going to always be around as they age in life. And that's fine, that's their decision. If you notice, I'm just going to give you insight. I've noticed that one particular actress, and it's going to be off topic briefly, that wants now a husband, Miss Lathan. And she's now just turned 50 years old this year. And it makes me think that most typical modern women are just like her, thinking that they have all the time in the world. So if you're a man that's not what they call to their eyes ready-made, they might not even look at you right now, today. Well, let's say if they met that dude was already made, that means this man is going to require some things from you, ladies. You hear it from always these men talked about. And can you meet their requirement? And they are going to do what we call the SHIT test. Mm-hmm. And I think most men should be doing that more often if you want to keep it real. But, that's the way you're going to break the ice to see if she's there for you or for someone else. I hope I answered that. Yes.
Right. Why does purpose over prospects mean so much? What does that mean to you? Purpose over prospects.
Purpose of prospect.
And if you don't have the answer now, I'll come back to you. You can think about it. But I want you to cam up at least one time, man. You can do for about 2 minutes or 3 minutes, but it's only fair to
actually, I'm here just to give my take. But
okay, brother. All right.
Is that fine? Okay. All right.
All right, brother. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you, Chaos Ring. Purpose over prospects. Your purpose always trumps your prospects because most prospects are not wife ready and they're not willing to serve you. Is that true, Ingram?
Absolutely. Not only are they not wife worthy, you're getting a higher used product than you did in the past, which I think should change the value. if guys only knew how much these women have been pounded, they would have a different perspective of what's in front of them. Yes, she's cute. Yes, she's dressed well. Yes, she's whatever. But she's been pounded viciously. I'm telling you, as you get old, women, you gotta understand, people, this is a sexual liberation. You got social media, you got the internet, you got guys in the DMs, you got guys at the job. There's everybody pounding these women. And what happens now is a lot of guys, they go on to date with these women. These women are coming with these higher expectations. If guys only knew what they were getting, they would just go rub one off and go to sleep. I'm being honest with you. It's just that bad.
And you know what? You know it, Ingram. You know
it, man. But you know, brother. I just say.
but you know it firsthand, Ingram, because you were an athlete, and you're just not talking from conjecture. You're talking from experience. As an athlete that played with Division I basketball at Seton Hall, when basketball was basketball, you played around a time where they had Rip Hamilton, Kerry Kittles. Well, I'm not gonna say Patrick Ewing. That was before your time, but you and I are around the same age, and you remember a time as a D1 athlete because you did it.
well, Kosher, here's the problem. Okay, let me explain to you. Like at 47 right now, one of the worst experiences that I get, the worst things for me about social media is when you see like certain people with weddings and all these stuff, and you remember these chicks from back in the day who swallowed, who did all this other weird stuff. Guys did stuff to them and whatever. You know this history, and you see like that person getting married, and you see the guy kissing her and slobbering her in the wedding, and you're like, you're like, you have this gag reflex. And I know people are going to go with this liberal mentality of the S shaming, but women are constantly shaming men. They broke shame men, they height shame men, they do all these shaming to men. But I know these broads, Kosher. And I know how viciously these broads were pounded. And I see these guys walking hands intertwined, marrying these broads and walking down the aisle. And like, I cringe, dude. I'm like, do you know what you're marrying? Do you guys know what y'all are simping over? If you know the history of these broads, like I do, and you've experienced these broads, like many of them that I do, like Facebook itself, I have to like, suspend people for 30 days so I don't see these images of these simps with these broads that I used to know. And I don't know, maybe in my case, I might have kissed some broads that have been around the block too. And it's a very disturbing thing as I get older. That's why I'm like, you got psychologically, it plays tricks on your brain too, man. I'm being real.
Right.
Because you know these broads have been around the block. But the value they're coming in, that you listen to the conversation, I want a man that's this. I want a real man that's this, a man that's this. And that. I'm like,
right.
Baby, you got 100 bodies. You gotta come back down to earth.
Right. I can see it was a woman that was humble. She done her dirt, had her fun, but she's not expecting a man to have all these traditional norms and expectations. If she's a woman that got multiple kids by multiple men, had a lot of fun, she's not virtuous in her femininity, and she said, look, as long as I get a decent guy that loves me, then I can respect that woman. But it's the entitlement, Ingram, where you got women that are not virtuous and they're not traditional, but they want traditional benefits. And that's why I said that purpose always trumps prospects, because you made a very valid point. I'll say, Ingram, that your purpose is more or less fixed, but her love for you is fleeting. You heard what Dr. Johnson said about the woman that didn't even call the man when he was in the hospital. Your purpose is fixed, guys, but her love for you is fleeting. And you're not getting what your great-great-grandmom got. You're not getting that. You're not getting nowhere near a modicum of virtue that you got in the past. What the funk? You living in what's called Germany. You talked about the favelas. You talked about women of other countries. And I think the reason why those women are so feminine because the men demand more. What's your take on that, brother?
I think you're absolutely correct. And I think there's also a different honor code. I find when you are with women who are in poor mentality, I think the capitalism really does a number on our women. I don't think we've really even digested or even dissected how messed up it really makes the women's psyche. But when women are actually, I remember I saw this married couple, and every time he came home from work, it was like a party. She was excited for him to come because legitimately it was very dangerous where it was. It was like, oh, you made it home. Surprise. Okay. You made it today. And And that sounds crazy, but when you are in places that are very poor, the women really understand that it's a very tough world for that man to be going out and dealing with shit and working and sorry for cursing, but going out and being out in the world of men. And she honors him by coming home, and she builds that nest, and that man is generally very happy. He doesn't even have too much control over the finances because he's like, look, I love her. She's building my nest and she's making it a party when I come. It's a very simple back and forth. And I find when you have finances, I think a lot of times men feel they need to be in control of finances. And I think they really shouldn't unless they really don't trust that woman. My grandfather said, if you really love a woman, you should be able to give her about 85% of what you make and watch her build what she's building for you. And if she's spending that money on some BS, then completely, no matter how much you like her, you need to let her go, because she's not going to build your nest for you to completely just be at ease and go conquer the world and be on your purpose.
Right.
Find a woman that understands your purpose and is building that nest around that. But if she's
That is right. I totally agree with you, man. And that's why I'm not an advocate of these goofy men that say, well, I'm going to make all the money and she can keep hers. What you're doing, you're going to create a monster. Because if a woman is working, she should never keep all her money while you spend hers. She should take that money to invest in the family and invest in the relationship and invest in your purpose and your future. Because what you're doing on the subconscious level, you're teaching her that she deserves better and she's better than you without making her earn anything in that relationship. It's called a negative homeostasis. In a relationship, it should be a mutual benefit. But if you let her keep all her money, when she get tired of your goofy behind, she's going to have a nest egg, and she's going to divorce you and take half of what you got, and she's going to have all her money in the bank. What's your take on, Ingram? Well, actually, I asked G Money. What's your take on a woman keeping all her money while the man spends his and take care of everything? What's your take on that? Because I'm not doing unless she 100%. I would never do it, even if she was a virgin or 100% wife ready. I don't believe in that because you're teaching her that she's better based on her gender. What's your take on it, brother?
I think it's a joke. I think any man that lets himself kind of be like in that case, she's kind of leading the relationship. You know, if in a monetary sense, if she's if you're making the money and she gets to just keep hers, and you're just setting yourself up for failure.
Right.
You know, and you're just setting yourself up for failure.
Why are we setting ourselves up for failure? We're allowed that. I got the answer, but you tell me why in your own words.
Well, you pretty much said it. You know, like I think women, particularly if you kind of agree to committed relationships with women in this country, she has a plan. She has an exit plan. So she's creating a nest egg. And if there's a divorce that happens, you're going to be unprepared for the divorce.
Right.
You know, she's going to have her money and her savings set up, and you're gonna be left with nothing. So that's why I state that marriage, you know, committed relationships, marriage is a big decision to make. You know, and you better be ready for it. You better be make sure that you have the right woman involved. Because if she chooses to divorce you, and if there's children involved, you get put on child support. That could be devastating for a man. And every man should be talking about this. They should think about this. Because like when you get up older in age, like, you know, in my age, I'm in my late 30s. Mm-hmm. I'm a millennial. You know, you're going to encounter a woman, and they're going to want to lock you into committed relationships. You know, like I was dealing with a woman. You know, she was recently divorced, and you know, she keeps spitting this committed relationship stuff. You know, and she left her man. She divorced her man. You know, and I stated to her, you can very well do the same to me, you know. And the thing is, you know, in this country, I don't know, marriage, I don't know if it's all that beneficial for a man.
No, I don't think it is, man. I don't, unless you want a child. But under the current system, under the current laws, under current legislation with no fault divorce, Ingram made an excellent point. What are you getting in return? Listen, my mom and dad been married for over 50 years, guys. My grandparents were married until my grandma and grandfather passed. My grandmother was a virgin when she got married. She was wife ready. You know, so was my mom. Getting a virgin don't mean she's going to be perfect, but Ingram made a good point. She's not imprinted as much. So that was the exchange currency of the past. But now you getting women, like Ingram said, has been, you know, viciously bamboozled. And
yeah, he's right. You know, I've been out with women, and you know, and they've done things you never expect. These are women of all different types of races.
Right.
And the funny thing about it is, you know, I mentioned it earlier, and Ingram talked about it also, is that but with certain guys, they'll have all these standards, and you might not end up even sleeping with them. But with the right guy, she's willing to do certain things. She's willing to break all those rules. The no sex on a first date. The I don't do this. I don't do that. You know, with the right guy. And like I said before, I've been that guy, and I've been the guy that's been you know, had to jump through a bunch of hoops, and you know, that's because of, you know, maturity things. You know, like once I learned that I don't need to do that to deal with a woman. And that also comes with self-control too. You know, you just have to have self-control, and you have to have an abundance mentality. You know, if you're a man, you know, you have to realize that, you know, this is not the only woman that you can deal with. You know, if you're not getting the results, or she's not trying to do the things that you want to do, you kick her to the curb. You know,
right.
Because rest assured, if it's like a brother Ingram who's like an athlete, you know, I mean, I don't think I'm a bad looking guy myself, but you know, if it's a certain type of guy that she likes or has status, she's gonna break all those rules that she sets up, and you know, and you kind of have to look at that when she sets all these rules and standards for you. You know, that could be an indication that she's not really into you like that as well. You know, it's kind of she's not communicating the fact that she's not into you, but she's setting all these standards like, oh, I gotta wait 90 days. Oh, I don't kiss on the first date. You know, that's all a bunch of BS. That's all a bunch of BS. But women's really feeling. It's like I've been with women. I've been out with women. I don't even have to take them on a date. Like they come straight to the crib, or if we're out and about, they come straight to the hotel.
Right.
And I'll even suggest, hey, you want to go to dinner? You want to get something to eat? That's how I am. And they're like, nope. I'm so. One more thing. So y'all.
Right, no, let me finish. Go ahead. Go ahead, GS. No, go ahead, G Money. Go ahead. Keep talking.
So I'm saying, like, to the guys listening, y'all taking these women on $200, $100 dates. You know, I've been in situations where I've offered, you know, they'll meet up with me, and I'll offer to take them on a date, and they're like, nah, let's go do our thing. You know, so just keep that in mind, fellas, when you date these women, and they have all these standards, and telling, like, I'm not a dating coach, you know. Shout out to the dating coaches out there. Like, I think I find issues with them because, like, they're in it for the monetary reasons, and like Dr. Ron O'Neill, he says he states that they're kind of like male feminists. They absolve women of all responsibility. They like to blame the men. Right. But one thing with the dating coaches that they're right about is, you know, if a woman's really feeling you, you know, you don't really have to jump through all these hoops and take them on all these dates.
You don't. That's why. Right. That's what that goofy stuff about, you know, creating an environment so she can rest in her femininity is BS. A woman if a woman got Raekwon the man, they could be living in hell, and she'll be feminine with Raekwon the man, but not in a perfect environment. There are women from other countries that they don't have nowhere near as what women got in there. Your grandmother and your great-great-grandmom were still feminine women. They tilled the farm. They were with the civil rights movement. They helped their husbands, but they were still feminine women, and they had less. They didn't have microwaves. They didn't have TVs. They didn't have internets. They didn't have nowhere near what modern women got, and they were superior in femininity. But you got these modern chicks saying, well, so she can rest in her femininity. That's a myth. Should a man create an environment where a woman can be more comfortable? Yes. But watch this. But tough times make tough people, and easy times make soft people as well. So it's BS, in my opinion, because if you're truly feminine at your core, you're going to be feminine. Shout out to my man, Gene Davis, with a $25 super chat. Cash App. He said, you see how they be coming at me. You're right, Snake Whisper. And Snake Whisper, come up when you get a chance, man. Come in, and I want you to add to the conversation because I dropped the link, and I want you to add to the conversation because what you're saying is true, Gene. So I dropped the link for Gene, Tim. Gene, come in, and I want you to add to the conversation. But I'm gonna ask you a question, G Money. I asked the guys this early, and I'm gonna hurry to get off in a few minutes. I'm gonna see this prelude to the National Football Championship. This is the first day that I'm off. I can sit down, eat some popcorn.
Just go ahead and go live, and we watch the game.
brother.
We watch the game.
But hold up, G Money. Hold up, Ingram. I'm gonna ask G Money this real quick, Ingram. G Money, let me ask you a question. Talk about the time when you were negative imprinted by that one woman. Maybe you talked about it in Woodbridge, but was there one woman that negatively impacted you to the point that you deferred power? If you already answered the question, don't worry about it because I'll be talking about so many different things. But that one woman.
Well, I've had quite a few negative experiences. But I'll talk about this one time when I was in college. I was in college undergrad back in the early 2000s, and I remember I had met this girl at a New Year's, ironically a New Year's Eve party. I think it was New Year's of 2005 or something like that. I might have been like a senior or a junior, but anyway, I met her at a New Year's Eve party at my boy's house. And we talked. We didn't really do anything, but we talked. And this chick was fine. And like a month later, like my boy had told me, hey, remember that chick that you was talking to? She likes you. She told me to give you a number. So I called her up. We started like kicking it, hanging out. She was a cool chick. And I remember one time I was at. This is just what I'm going to tell guys is just a lesson about going to women's houses. I remember one time I was at her house because we were kicking it, but we were kicking it for like maybe a month or two. She would come to my crib most of the time, and then there was like one or two times I went to her house. But one time I went to her house, I recall like her phone wouldn't stop ringing. And like every 15, 20 minutes, the phone was ringing. And she would just, ignore. And then I remember because during that interim when we had been talking, she had a boyfriend, and she was kind of living with him, but sort of not. But she was back and forth between the guy's house and her house. So she had invited me over, and what had happened was this guy actually ended up showing up at her house, and my boy was there, but he was upstairs with his girlfriend because his girlfriend also lived there, and we ended up getting into a scuffle, and I said to myself, and my boy came downstairs and we kind of jumped the guy and kicked him out of the house. But after I left the house the next morning, I never really talked to that girl again. And then I said to myself, I'm never going to get into a scuffle with another man over a woman.
Over a woman, right.
Over a woman. It just doesn't make sense, especially if she kind of caused the situation. Because for him to come over to the house, right, there's a lot that I don't know that's going on in the background. I don't know what she's telling this guy. If this guy still thinks that he's involved with her, you do have some crazy dudes that stalk women. But what I'm thinking is that she probably was saying to this guy, or this guy was probably still involved with her, but she kind of wanted to do her thing with me and other dudes, And this is a very, very attractive, very attractive sister, slim and shape, And the thing is, we as men gotta learn to just have self-control. If we see a certain situation, what I should have done, when I look back at that situation, even though it was a while back, and I regret kind of getting into a scuffle with the guy, what I should have done was when that guy had came over, I should have just left, I was like, you guys have some issues you need to work out. I'm just gonna, head out right now. And instead of just choosing to stay and be a white knight and try to defend her honor, because you don't know you don't know, because I was more of a simp back then.
Right.
And I was more of a guy that kind of took the side of a woman. But when I look back at now that my eyes have been open, I've taken like what you call that red pill. I hold women accountable for these sort of situations. I mean, granted, we do have some responsibility. I'm never again going to fight another brother over a woman.
Right.
Especially if there's an inkling that it's her fault. I'm never again going to put myself in that sort of situation.
No, I totally agree.
I totally regret just not leaving when I was supposed to leave. Because that could have like solved that, and that could have just rectified the entire situation.
Right.
And and another thing, a part of the reason why I stopped talking to her, because I'll be honest, I ain't gonna front. I was trying to get back with her, and then I noticed that she was really distant. So me getting in a fight, getting a busted lip, didn't mean anything.
Right.
Right. Didn't mean anything. So putting yourself in harm's way for a woman who's not really even like your girl in a committed relationship, not a good idea, brothers.
Right. No, I totally agree. I will ask you this question. Question, Ingram, real quick. You play collegiate basketball at Seton Hall. Gene, I'm gonna meet you, man. Give me 1 minute, Gene. I'm gonna meet you.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna ask you guys this question because a lot of times, Gene, What the Funk, G Money, and Gene, and also myself, after she had her fun, did she want a rescue plan? What's your take on men dealing with women after they had their fun? Meaning, the woman didn't give you the time of day when you were in high school or when you were in your 20s, when you were on your upcline. Now, all of a sudden, she see you on your upcline, and her life has been in ravishes. She come back saying, I liked it at you. Not I liked you, but I liked it at you. Should you give those women a chance? I say no. Once you have fun, whether it's college or high school, and like Ingram said, she been pounded out. I don't want her vigorously pounded.
Vigorously pounded.
I don't even look at them the same because I don't think she's worthy of my court, or she's not worthy of my grace as a man. What's your take on, starting with Ingram, about those women that want to come back after they rejected you in high school? Because some will say, oh, you're this bitter, life goes on. And I don't think it's necessarily bitter. You just feel like, look, I deserve better, and you go on with your life. What's your take on that, Ingram, brother?
Ingram's going to viciously block.
First of all, you guys know what I mean by vigorously pounded. Because many of guys, I know the kosher, I know you're a licensed clinician, you can't say these topics. That's why I'm here. I say all the things kosher can't say. But anyhow, getting on to that topic, if she didn't like you in high school or in college, she still don't like you now. Women at this age is looking for security. You're still the same dude to her. You just look better now because you have resources that she wants for whatever circumstance. She's been out here in the market. Guys have been flipping off the wall like Neo from the Matrix, pounding her. She's, about to hit the wall, and she's trying to give you that used up stuff. Back to what I was saying about when we talk about the table and what women bring to the table. We got to be real about this now, okay? A woman that's been out here on this separate sexual liberation has destroyed her virtues. She's been pounded upon for so many years. You have to make women invest in you as a man. At this point, her virtues are gone. So she has to bring resources to the table. She has to invest in you as a man. If you put everything on the line, like for instance, you talk about women should keep their check. Hell no. You're gonna have to put some money. If you don't make women invest in the relationship, they'll never respect you.
Right.
They won't value the things you do. They won't value the car they drive. They won't value the house they live in. They won't value the food they're eating. And it's easy for them to leave or go sleep with somebody else because they have nothing invested.
Right.
Because they don't mind giving away their body because they've been giving away their body for the last 15, 20 plus years. So their body has no value, but the investment that they have made into you, whatever they invested money, invested energy, invested resources into a relationship, it's a lot harder for them to break away from what they have invested into you as a man outside of their body. Forget about their body. Their body's been pounded. It doesn't have the same value. But when they invest their money, their time, their energy, their resources into you, it hurts them to leave you because now they have put in more than their body. And that's how guys are not looking at it from this perspective of a guy doing everything. Because let's be honest, man, these women have been viciously pounded. This is what 2021, 2022. We can't unpound the women. And I always tell guys, if you're in a relationship with them, make sure you viciously pound them too. You want that chick when she sees you in the mall, say, this dude did some crap to me. Damn it. And he's walking around all proud and with his shopping bags in his hand. Damn, this dude, I spent a lot of money on this dude. He pounded me to go. I went to sleep. Damn, what this bastard over here, that's what you want when they leave. And that's just the way life is. This is 2021, 2022.
Right. Jing, how you doing, brother? Thank you for that generous super chat on Cash Out. Yeah. How would you like to add to the conversation, Jing? Back then, she didn't want me. Now that I'm hot, they all want me. How would you like to add to the conversation? And why you should put purpose over prospects? Go ahead, brother.
Well, first of all, I want to agree with everything these brothers are saying. You know, they're on point, like dead on point. My experiences I've experienced that. Like when I was in high school, I was like the nerdy jock, so which made me weird. And, there were girls that ignored me. But, I came to the prom with the hottest girl at the prom from another high school, and that changed everything. I got 6 numbers that night from women that I knew since I was 12 years old that never said hello. But then, okay, so as an adult, the experience is a little different. So as an adult, this is the thing. I can't. This guy got me laughing, man. I'm trying to talk, and this dude got me laughing talking about the year of viciously pounding. Oh my God! But so as a young adult, I live in New York City, and so I used to meet these chicks that had it all going on, the career, the money, and stuff, and they would smash me, but. Excuse me, they wouldn't date me because they would be like, they want the guy that they can move to Westchester with the house and the 2-car garage and have him pay for everything. So I was getting sex, but it sucked because there was no respect. It was like I was meeting them at their place. I wasn't being seen in public. That started to mess with me, man. Like I felt like I'm disrespecting myself, and I stopped doing that. But as you well know, and you can attest, and this has been going on since I've been divorced, I would tell to you young brothers, stay on your purpose.
Right.
Be about your business, because when I was married for 9 years to my ex-wife, is a Cuban doctor, a beautiful woman. We're mad cool. But I got divorced in 2009. Mm-hmm. And from 2009 until now, I am the hot bitch. Excuse my French, but I'm the hot woman. Mm-hmm. And Moses can tell you, I get hundreds of women hitting me up every month, beautiful women. Mm-hmm. I get women sending me expensive electronics. I got a $1,400 pair of shoes. I didn't ask for none of this. They just be, the same women who you weren't good enough because you didn't make enough money. Now they try to use their money to get you. Mm-hmm. Because
messaged, huh?
Say that again, brother.
You're getting viciously messaged.
Exactly. Because I'm not.
That's a good one. That's a good one. What the fuck?
Because I'm not letting them anywhere near me, bro. Like anywhere near me. My thing right now is to just be by myself and focus on myself. So I don't let them anywhere near me. They can't come to my house. So the way that they try to endear themselves is by buying shit and mailing it to me. But that's what it's become. It's like now I'm the hot woman.
Right.
It's a total turnaround, and I get to pick and choose.
Right.
And I'm just
right.
waiting until I'm ready to date. But there's no more. I don't put any energy into checking for women because too many are checking for me.
Right. And you know, shout out to my man Top Gun. Top Gun, congratulations, brother, for getting your over 1,000 subs, man. I knew you were gonna do it because you got that. Yeah, you got that Leo swag. I knew Top Gun was gonna do it because he's a hard worker. He's a Leo. But Top Gun, unmute yourself, young man. How would you like to add clarity to this conversation? Back then, she didn't want me. Now that I'm hot, she's all on me. You are a data engineer. You've seen the issues about women want to use you on your come up after you've been through all the rigors of academia and working hard. How would you like to add clarity to this conversation before the billions?
All right, back then they ain't want me. Now I'm hot. They all on me. 281-330-8004.
You know.
Yeah, you already know that. That was the actual phone number.
Right.
So I wanted to add in all of that because I guess you could consider an incel, right? Somebody who wanted to get with women and then was like, man, it is extremely difficult. And then I just had my dad making it worse, talking about, oh, it's easy. All you gotta do is go up and speak to them. And then
No, it's not.
They used to say, man, it's so easy, man. All you do is speak to them. They ready to go ahead and take off the drawers, But then that's what he would tell me. And then it made it so hard because I had kind of been conditioned. I lived with my mom. So she was like, oh, yeah, you're going to have to, be nice. And,
right.
And then that's what messed me up. I was like, no, I'm not going to be like the other guys.
Right.
Right. So that messed me up, starting out, especially in high school. I remember there was an exact moment. I remember this girl was like, oh, you know what? I know that William's gonna be making a whole bunch of money when he get older.
Right.
He gonna be real successful and all this other kind of stuff. But he just ain't my type. And then I was like, okay. And then see where she's at now. It's like, man, these people be having a whole bunch of kids and be by themselves. So that's, you see how it is like when you're younger and you're like, okay, in high school, they didn't like me and all this other kind of stuff. Then you get older. Now everybody's going through a hard time. You're doing good because you're making money, and I don't have any kids, so I don't have anything taking away that money, and I'm doing pretty well for myself. I'm speaking for myself, thinking I'm doing well for myself, right?
Right.
But and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be on my purpose. I'm not trying. I am on my purpose.
You're on your purpose, right?
Right. I am. Putting my best step forward, trying to become the best version of myself. And that's something that I think pretty much every person should do. And I always advocate for that. I always think that people should, worry about their finances, worry about, also this is not financial advice, nor is it legal advice, but you should also, go ahead and make sure that you're getting your body in shape as well. I'm in the gym, 5-6 days out the week because I'm trying to, not only impress other people, right, but I'm also trying to impress myself. I'm trying to be like, okay, you know what, I look good to myself, and it helps me with my own confidence. But overall, like I'm not getting, an aggravated messaging or anything like that. I'm not getting vehemently messaged by a whole bunch of women. But when you already got a girlfriend and you out the game, really, you're not really out there dating and spending a whole bunch of time and a whole bunch of money on a whole bunch of women, then it kind of helps you out with, saving that money. And also, you're not wasting a whole bunch of time, so.
Well, I'm a firm believer before the billions that modern women often thwart your purpose instead of enhancing your purpose. And that's why I tell guys like Ingram said and Gene and What the Funk, when they want to come back after they're in their bad years, they want to come back and get the rebound and hit the jumper with 3 seconds left on the clock. Me and Ingram, we know about that because we played basketball. I say steal the ball and run the other way and throw it out of the benches, throw it up in the bleachers because I don't feel she deserves you on your up climb. If she wasn't rocking with you when you were growing and building, I don't think she deserved the benefits of your virtue now. So many men deferred their power because of the time when they were broken, whether it be in high school or college. And there are these same women, as Ingram said, after they had their fun, Now all of a sudden, I want a good man. I've been changed. The Lord changed me. I'm saved, and I like that he's you. Not like, but like that they did you when you were in high school. And I tell guys, man, move on, because you are the prize catcher. You determine if she's prize worthy, not her. And if she don't meet your standards as a man, keep it moving. Keep it moving. Like that song said, keep on moving, don't stop now. You remember that song even back in the 80s?
Oh yeah.
Keep on moving. You don't stop now. Keep moving, man, because your better is later. And guys, when you think about the Proverbs 31, the Proverbs 38 woman, the Proverbs 38 woman is a very rare woman, but the Proverbs 38 woman was a rare woman back in biblical times. She is basically a unicorn now. What do you think, Gene, happened to modern dating and relationships to the point that many women feel that they are better than you as a man, in your opinion?
Yeah, well, what I think happened is, you look at the '90s, bro, with all the simp R&B, Babyface, and all those guys. Like everything was. I mean, guys were singing songs about I'll go to work, and I'll come home and I'll fix your dinner, and like I'll do everything. Like, I mean, it was just, simp overload. The '90s. And that's just the culture. The culture just went in that direction where it's all about the woman, and she doesn't have to bring anything to the table but her vagina,
right?
And that's enough. And that wouldn't have been possible if we didn't have a community of men raised by women who were teaching their sons to be the simp that they wished their father was, or whoever was the desire of their heart. They wanted that guy to be their simp, and he wasn't. But they try to make because I had women, and I've told you about my family. I was raised with masculine men, but I definitely had women in my circles who would actually try to challenge the way I was being brought up, like trying to get them to teach me to defer to women, to be a simp, to be of service to women, and not be like a man and stand on my masculine square. Like that was a constant battle. Women used to come at my mom because of how she treated me. Because I tell you, my mother was raised by her father, so my mother revered men, and she taught me and my brother to be different. Then I had my dad, I had all my uncles and everything, but it was key that my mother was fully invested in the idea of me being a masculine man. And women used to try to go at my mom because of how she treated me and my brother. So it's in the culture, man. Our culture is it's like a simp farm.
It is, right.
That's the best way I can put it, bro. It's like a simp farm. We have the highest preponderance of simps of any community on the planet, bar none.
Right, I agree. I agree, and you know what? And you're right, Gene. There was a woman that was from Brazil, I think from Puerto Rico, and they love American black men because they are kind and egalitarian. But she said that the stuff that black men tolerate, Latin men will never tolerate. What's your take on that?
Well, hey, you remember? I hope it's not too loud. You remember when this Scottish woman came into my inbox and was saying how black men need to get out, and I get a lot of these from women around the world. Black men need to leave the country and travel because we are the definition of masculinity, and women around the world love us. And I posted that in a black man's travel group, and O'Shea Duke Jackson got a hold of it, and he tried to make it out like I said something bad, but the woman was just expressing her feelings. And then she also sent me a picture of how beautiful she was, and I posted the picture of her and what she said. But I've heard that so many times, man. I've had and I've traveled. I mean, women around the world. This is the thing that they love about Black American men. We present ourselves as masculine, but like you said, because we grew up on a simp farm, a lot of us are way more egalitarian than the men that they grow up around. So it's a combination. It's a balance of masculinity.
It's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, but it's a balance of masculinity and objectivity that that they find really, really attractive. That's what it comes down to.
I want to ask you a question before the billions. You are a millennial dating in this cesspool. It appears that you have a girlfriend.
Yes.
Well, what were some of the struggles that you struggled with before getting your current girlfriend? You know, do you feel like a lot of women now are trying to holler at you, but you don't feel like it's genuine? You know, you're doing good with your YouTube channel. You're a data engineer. But before you got your current girlfriend, what were your struggles, and what you consider dating women from other countries as well?
Well, I never dated anybody outside the black community, so.
Well, before you got your
Traveling Man wanted to say something?
Yeah, go ahead. Traveling Man, you can cam up, brother. I don't know who you are, brother, so you don't mind camming up.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, so I was saying that when it comes to, like, you know, before I got my current girlfriend, the biggest issue that I would have is that the women would not necessarily choose me. Like, I'll go out on a date, like they'd be like, okay, mention and going out on a date. All right, cool. We go out on this date, and then they'd be like, they really just did not like me like that. So what they would do is they would either stand me up or something like that. Like, I'll tell you this story quick. I was dating this girl, or like talking to her, and she was like, we were supposed to go on our first date. I was like, okay, well, we can go to like three different options or whatever. And it kind of depends on whatever day you want to go. So we were supposed to go on one date, and then she was like, oh no, I can't do it today. And it kept going on. It was supposed to be like one day on like a Friday or something like that. She said, oh, well, you know what? I'm at the park and I'm working out. I said, okay, well, just let me know when you finish working out. This was about like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Later on, it was about like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I was like, okay, are you done yet? You know, she didn't let me know. So she's like, no, I'm still working out. I'm like, I thought that was weird. I'm like, it's been like 4 hours. And then how you working out for like 4 hours at the park? So I was like, okay, you know, whatever. 7, 8 o'clock came around. Oh yeah, I'm still at the park. I'm like, no, man, it's dark now. You ain't at that park. So, you know, that's what I would run into, is that people would just like really not like me like that, and then they just, instead of just letting me know, they would lie about it and then just waste time.
Right. What did it do to your ego before the billions? How did it impact you mentally, and how did it make you defer power?
Yeah, so she was and she was big too. That's what the other thing was. And she's still big to this day. I'm working out. He's still at the park working out. But no, yeah. So what it did to me, I was like, dang. I kind of felt like why is it that she feels like she need to lie to me? Like, what, you know? To the point where it really wasn't even that serious. Like, I wasn't like pressuring you or nothing like that. I just asked you, like, because we went to the same high school and stuff. I was like, hey, just do you want to, you know, go out or something like that? Like, I let her know my interests and stuff. And then it wasn't until later on that I found my current girlfriend, who said, you know what? I like the way I met my girlfriend. I went up to a mutual friend's birthday party. I walked in and said hey to my friend, said hey to my friend's friends. And then my girlfriend came up and said, hey, do you have a girlfriend? I said no. And then we ended up talking, and then became boyfriend and girlfriend like a month later. So, you know, that was like the complete opposite of where, you know, you got this woman who's viciously working out at the park, you know, standing me up, versus somebody who's like, you know what, I want you to be my boyfriend, you know. Like, just go ahead and put it out on the table.
Sir, you got scoped out. I hope you know this. Just letting you know that you got vetted. She knew who you were. Somebody told her who you were, and so she knows your purpose and what you're planning, or she believes in your purpose because she's known about you before you even. Yeah, no. So that's a good thing.
And you know what? Before the billions, if you were in South Africa or in China or in another country, even where what the funk is in Switzerland or Germany, you just being an upstanding guy that's, soft-spoken, but a man, there will be women that would love to be with a brother like you. Not because you're lame, but they would just see you as an upstanding man. You don't have to have all this masculine bravado to be respected as a man. But in America, you got to be damn near Superman. You got to be as tall as me, Ingram, because I'm 6'6", with 6'5", 6'6" with shoes on. And Ingram's 6'7", 6'8" with shoes on. We got to have all this bravado just to get a modicum of respect. And I tell guys all the times that men are the prize catcher. You determine if she's prize worthy as a man. It's a term I created called the prize catcher. Ingram, we're going to sign off in a minute, but why should men more or less uphold the virtues of being a prize catcher, in your opinion, brother? Starting with Ingram to What the Funk, to G Money, to Before the Billions, then Gene.
Well, the reason why is because here's the thing about it. You was talking about a simp culture, and the brother Gene was talking about that simp music of the 90s. And we live in a matriarchal culture. And in this type of a culture, on this gynocentric culture, men tend to overvalue women. Specifically, like Before the Billions was given this conversation, and you said it too, Kosher. In any other culture, women are lining up to date Before the Billions. Mm-hmm. And the danger of our culture too, and why guys have to understand that you are the value. Provisions, protection, security only gets more valuable with age and time. If you're a guy who takes care of yourself, keeps your money right, you're in the driver's seat, you're in a position of power. But if you listen to the social programming, they'll try to make you believe that you're not the value and the woman is the value. Mm-hmm. When the reality is their virtues should match your success. And a guy like Before the Billions is that's why I need young men like Before the Billions to subscribe to my channel. Trust me, let me be the devil for you guys. For me, I believe in protecting you guys and you guys getting the best deal for your value. And the biggest problem we have, they'll take a young man like Before the Billions and tell him he should go back to the community and marry some single mom with multiple kids, when a kid like him deserves a virgin. Right. Because he's put in the time. Any other country, you'll get a woman with 0 bodies on her.
Right.
And women that have 0 bodies on them are better apt. The 6% divorce rate for women with 0 bodies on them. They're better apt to bond with a man, be with a man, and don't listen to these social programming about them trying to get you guys to go back to the community, wife up some single mom, donate all your hard-earned money. Back in the day, they call you all kinds of names, lame, and all this other rubbish. In any other country, you get a virgin. Mm-hmm. This garbage that they have in this country of undervaluing black men. Let me get off my soapbox. But anyhow, you are the prize. You've worked hard. You've stayed in school. You've done the right things. You're more valuable than these goddamn 304s. You're 10 times more valuable out here on this market. But you can't let these people get you to take less. You can get a virgin. If you're going to marry and have kids and you don't have any kids as a young man like that, you should get a woman with almost 0 bodies on her. And that's the reality of life. But I think you are the prize. Young men that are, especially single black men that don't have any kids, you are the prize. And don't allow society to accept you, to accept these women that have been vigorously pounded into the ground. I mean, they've experienced guys with baseball bats in their pants walking around. These women are not, the virtues are gone. So what are you really being shamed about? You're being ashamed about what? They've had hot girls summers. They've been racked up in the dorms. We have passed them from dorm room to dorm room, pounded them vigorously, mercilessly, passed them back and forth, sent them upstairs, downstairs, knocked on each other's doors, shared them. Yo, can I borrow that one? Are you done with them? And this woman is telling a young man like you Before the Billions that she is virtuous and she's valuable and you must come to the table with all this stuff. And that's why I'm at a point right now, like even with my boys, I'm willing to pay dowry.
Right.
Not to have these women with these high body counts on them. And you are the prize. And I want young men like you to realize that you are the prize. Subscribe to my channel because I'm raising the value on brothers like you all over the place. I'm tired of them trying to convince young men like you guys to settle for less, give up what you've worked hard for, like you deserve some rubbish, some 304 with high body count, garbage. But anyhow, that's just my soap.
No, I agree. I think before the billions is an exemplar, a very exceptional young man, and I don't believe that a man that worked as hard as he worked should settle for mediocrity. He grew up in church like I did, and he knows about the virtue of trying to live right. So why should he settle? Because I'm gonna tell you what he's gonna get. He will get a woman, like you said, the ones that had a lot of fun. They're not gonna appreciate a man like him. They're gonna see him as a beta male simp, somebody that's gonna provide for him. She can use him. Then once she get bored, because she used to Raekwon the Man, taking him to another stratosphere, she's gonna divorce him for half of everything he got, and he's gonna be singing that song by Teddy Pendergrass, the whole world laughing at me. What the fuck? Real quick, in less than 2 minutes. What did you get from? Why should the man maintain prize catcher standards in your opinion, brother?
I'm gonna make this in 2 minutes. I'm gonna try to bring it back to before the billions. I think you have to do this because as we get older, we do legitimately get better. And too many men have put themselves in horrible situations by trying to maintain a woman's honor, by trying to be that kind of guy. And there's men in jail because of this, men who have died. Mr. Billions, you have just made 200 push-ups in a day and you are on your process. And I give you congratulations on that and keep it going. I think you should absolutely have a conversation with Mr. Ingram, even though he viciously will say some things maybe a little bit out of pocket. He is definitely somebody that's worth learning from. I had a great conversation with him back and forth, and all it is just great knowledge and a different perspective. You are on your process. You are a young man. And last thing I'll say is that there's black women in this world who were raised in Tao, who are raised in different religions. And just because you may have a different religion, a different upbringing, you might find that a lot of the different upbringings on this side of the world actually align more with what you are as a Christian. Women who are raised Buddhist, women who are raised Tao. I think that there's black women in that because there's servicemen, they've done their part for you. They spread their seeds long before. So now if you travel the world, there are black women in these cultures for you to meet. So come meet them, and they're waiting for you.
No doubt, no doubt. G Money, why should men maintain their standards as being the prize catcher, in your opinion, real quick?
Yeah, like the brother What the Funk just stated that we men get more refined and better with age. You know, I for me it's been a long process. You know, from my 20s now in my 30s, I've seen quite a bit of success. I've accomplished a lot of things. I've reached certain milestones, and I understand what before the billions has gone through. That the same things have happened to me. You know, that's it just comes with that dating in this country. You know, you got to have tough skin and you got to have an abundance mindset, especially within our community. I think our women can be very, very rude and just disrespectful. Because I've dated women of other races, and you know, I think the problem with our women in particular, they like attention, so they'll lead a quote unquote nice guy. That term "nice guy" now I see it as an insult. When a woman refers to you as a nice guy, tell her not to call you a nice guy, because that's a guy that she doesn't respect. She'll never be intimate with, and you're pretty much a simp, you know. And you gotta get out of that nice guy mindset. What I mean is, you know, you gotta start setting standards. If she does something that's disrespectful, you know, let it be known that you don't appreciate it, you don't like it. I was listening to your story before the billions, and I've been through that. I've had women flake on me and stand me up. What I started doing differently is if they do that, I just don't call them back. I think the mistake you made was continuously calling her back. Just don't call her back. Just talk to someone else. Because you know, she's working out in the park for 4 or 5 hours straight, you know, and she's supposed to meet up with you. If she really wanted to meet with you, she would just, you know, met up with you right when you called her. You know, all this like stalling and all this other stuff. Just, I wouldn't even have called her back. I would have just been like, okay, I would have just found someone else to talk to. I would have just found something better to do with my time. One of the worst things, the worst ways you can waste your time is to chase behind a woman that's not interested in you. You know, I'll say that again. One of the worst ways as a man you can waste your time is to chase behind a woman that's not interested in you. a man should always be on his purpose, and if you're on your purpose, the women will always come. Yeah, and I feel your pain. I've been through it when I was younger, and I just learned to have an abundance mindset. And you know, and our women in particular in this country, they can be very disrespectful, and really no one really calls them out on it either. You know, they think it's okay to just kind of just disrespect the man, and you know, so yeah. I mean, yeah, just stay on your purpose and do what you need to do to be successful, and you'll be fine.
Right, no doubt. Yeah. We're about to sign off in a minute, but before we go, Gene, why should the prize catcher have standards as it relates to him moving forward and increasing his mental health and his mental self-esteem? Why should the prize catcher have standards? Real quick.
Yeah, I'll make it really quick. Yeah, it's really simple. I mean, the woman's biological imperative is to be secure, and you're the one who has that security. So you don't need to bargain. You don't need to compromise. You have what they want, and there's a lot of them. So if they're not willing to get on your program, you move on to the next.
Right.
Because you have all the leverage, and you have to understand that a lot of men don't understand that. Women are hardwired for security.
Right.
And if you're a man on your purpose and you have security, they're gonna want you, and not a lot of men do. And security nowadays, it ain't even yeah, you have all these people talking about they want a high value man. I can tell you from experience, man, a lot of these women just want somebody that they know is gonna be there day in and day out, because they're not asking. I don't when I was younger, they would try to figure out what my income was. Now they don't even care. They just want to get me in a relationship and have me be there for them, from now until. That's what so the security, if you can provide the security and make them feel secure, then you hold all the cards and all the leverage.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. We're about to sign off, and this has been another great classic. Back then she didn't want me. Now that I'm hot, she's all on me. Ingram, I'm going to give you the closing benediction for the show, man. And before the billions, I'm proud of you, young man. Of course, you got that Leo swag.
Absolutely.
So you always get the highs up. And I'm so proud of you, man. And we're going to encompass around you. We're going to be like the elders of a tribal council. And we're going to try to guide you in the right direction, because you're a good kid, man. I don't want to see you encapsulated by unsavory women. So you're a good kid. I know you got your dad, but as elders, man, we're going to make sure we guide you in the right direction. I like what you're doing. You're a hard worker. And I knew you won't get to the top because you got that Leo swag. You just like me. You're a hard worker, man. And I'm proud of you, man. Ingram, real quick, man, I'm going to let you get the benediction, because that got to be the quote of the year, vigorously. I ain't going to say the word. I'm not going to say the word. But the closing benediction, Ingram, what'd you get from the show, man? And how was the show beneficial? Real quick.
I think it's really beneficial, because especially for the young men like before the billions that tone in, man, it lets them know that they're valuable, and also how to deal with situations from the past. If they didn't like you in the past, they certainly don't like you today. They're looking for resources. Your value as a man, and in your purpose as a man, it's a moral virtue for you as a man to get the best deal you possibly can for the effort that you put into this world. And I think this show really allows men to see their value. I mean, Brother Jane was very specific about young men knowing their value, understanding that you're the prize in the situation, and the kosher talks about being the prize catcher. And my big thing is, for young men, this show is important because it allows you guys to understand that there's a different voice out here. There's a masculine voice out here. You come to channels like ours. Somebody had the car going, and you guys have to learn to resist the social programming. This show is important for that. Young men like Before the Billions. Hopefully, you guys listening to these shows can learn. You can value yourself different. You can treat yourself like a value, and you can always make decisions that benefit your life. And that's what's important about this show. And that's what the message that I think is being passed on is for young men to have a voice. The show is about male empowerment. And when you talk to brothers like me, the kosher, and Brother Gene, who've been around for a while, They let you know exactly what your value is in the world, because you only can see the world that's in front of you, or the veil that they put over your eyes in this society, making young men like before the billions believe they have limited options. And that's why I came up with relationship capitalism. The globe is your dating range. You have a lot of power in your finances and your resources, and you should not have to settle for anything, especially anything that has been vigorously pounded.
We're about to sign off. Gene, thank you, brother, for signing off.
Hilarious.
That's very hilarious.
And let me say one more thing to the before the billions. Yo, brother, what you don't realize is that these not dealing with these women has been a blessing to you, because you don't know all of the emotional and mental and psychological baggage that these women are carrying around. And to be honest with you, the hotter they are, the worse they are when it comes to that. So you've been spared. You actually are in a better place than if you had interacted with a lot of these women. I'm telling you from experience.
No, I agree with you, man. I totally agree. We're about to sign off, guys. We're about to look at this preamble to the 2022 year. We look at some college football. Cincinnati against Michigan, I think, and Alabama against somebody. I don't know. I think it's Alabama, Cincinnati. But before the billion, salute, Gene. Salute, man. Love you guys, man. We're going to continue to have quality content starting in 2022. And so we're about to sign off, guys. But I told you guys that there are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become optimized, and understanding female psychology and how it impacts you mentally as a man is paramount to the function of a man. We're about to sign off, guys. I love you. This has been a great show, another classic. Enjoy your new year. Be safe. Take care of yourself. Love yourself, men. Love yourself, gentlemen. And like I said, it's time to sign off. Be well.
keep God first. I see evil when I converse. Now today say, this how God works. Play my position, what is given with no concerns. Set it off. Top of the morning, I'm gonna set it off. You living boring, I'm gonna set it off. Shooting, I'm scoring, I'm gonna set it off. Like soldiers torn, I'm gonna set it off. Son of God, no, I am not son of man. Blessings keep falling, the fingers keep coming in. I got you, but just know I'm texting like Uncle Sam. Left to the bank, you know that I'm coming in. We don't do it for the bands though, we don't do it for the clout. Legacy on the line, so I'm moving in and out. Seen good ones turn top dog, greedy ones get knocked off. I keep looking at the bench like I could never not ball. Coach keep me in the game, Curry deadly with the range. I keep looking in the mirror like, who is he? I'm insane. Who am I? He insane. Guess I ain't the one to blame. What's done is done, won't change. Time to live up to my name. Real will be real, fake gon' fall. Took time with this here, I'm made for a while. No sleeping, no, I won't fall. No sleeping, no, I won't let out. I keep God first. I see evil, when I converse. Now today say, this how God works. Play my position, what is given with no concerns. Go, 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 go. Set it off. Top of the morning, I'm gonna set it off. You living boring, I'm gonna set it off. Shooting, I'm scoring, I'm gonna set it off. Like soldiers torn, I'm gonna set it off. Told my baby, meet me at the bank. Told my mama, I'ma break the trend. Locked in, I'ma change the weight. Working for my baby's kids. Hard times couldn't make the rent. Working hard couldn't save a cent. Lonely nights, just me and God. Swear to him, always made the ends. Grab a paper, see the news. Hate coming by the tools. Walk a mile in my shoes. Something you can never do. Got my back against the wall. Bet I always pull through. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Sending shots, I block 'em. Superman with the moves. Rock 'em, sock 'em, drop, pop 'em. Play to win, never lose. Run it up, I top 'em. Play for belly too. I hip hop or pop 'em. Anything I could do. The real won't be real, fake gon' fall. Took time with this here, I made for a while. No sleeping, no, I won't fall. No sleeping, no, I won't let out. I keep God first. I see evil, when I converse. Now today say, this how God works. Play my position, what is given with no concerns. Go, 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 go. Set it off. Top of the morning, I'm gonna set it off. You living boring, I'm gonna set it off. Shooting, I'm scoring, I'm gonna set it off. Like soldiers torn, I'm gonna set it off.
to be my lover, yeah. I love you when you want to be my lover, yeah. My little baby go rise on me. My little baby go ride on me. Maria, Maria. island girl. She from Kilimanjaro. From Kilimanjaro. Kiliman, oh. Nah, she no island girl. She from Kilimanjaro. She from Kilimanjaro. Kilimanjaro. My little baby girl, rise on me. My little baby girl, rise on me. Maria. Every time you're looking out for me. Every time you're looking out for me. Love you, Everything go from Maria. Sensibility, pretty girl like a Maria. Every time we meet, so every time we like oh, Maria. Now you want to spend more time with me. Do you want to be my wife, baby? I just want you in my life, baby. I like you, everything go from Maria. Sensibility, pretty girl like a Maria. Every time we meet, so every time we like